Imagine standing at the base of a vast, undulating landscape. The earth stretched out before you like an endless canvas. To your left, the rolling hills cascade towards distant mountains, their peaks lost in a pale blue haze. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying with it the scent of damp earth mingled with the faint perfume of pine. The air is cool but sharp, refreshing as it brushes against your skin, but the promise of a grueling day of work lingers in the back of your mind. The soft rustle of leaves and the distant song of birds provide a faint soundtrack to the rhythm of life that plays here. Life in the heart of ancient China. The emperor, the supreme ruler of China, resides in the distant palace, almost mythical figure who issues commands from his high seat. Whether you are a peasant pulled from your farm, a soldier bound to military service, or a prisoner forced into service as punishment, your life is spent building the empire. The emperor's command to construct the Great Wall is not a suggestion, it is a law, and failure to comply results in harsh punishment. You can only hope that your work will one day be remembered, that it will serve as a testament to your existence, but also a constant reminder of the personal cost, the hours of labor, the sweat, the toll on your body, and the lives that are lost in the process. Some workers may never make it to the end of the wall, as exhaustion, malnutrition, or injury claim their lives. In the shadow of the wall, you are just a small part of a greater machine, an endless stream of laborers who come and go, each contributing to the monument, but each forgotten when their work is done, and, perhaps, in some small way, to the strength of your will. Ancient China was frequently under attack from northern nomadic tribes groups, like the Zhao, whose raids disrupted life within the empire. The walls built by earlier dynasties were not enough to protect the vast borders of China, so the decision was made to create a unified defense system that would stretch for thousands of miles. He is as distant as the sun that warms the land, untouchable and unreachable, a being whose will shapes your every move. The wall became a symbol of his power to control both land and people, a feat of engineering that would have lasting impacts on Chinese history. The wall would not just be a fortification, it was a symbol of strength, of the emperor's unification of the fractured state, and of his will to protect the Chinese people. The Great Wall became more than just a physical barrier, it was a psychological one, an emblem of the emperor's absolute power and control. You and the others working alongside you are mere cogs in a great machine, building something grand and eternal, yet often feeling lost in its immense scope. These earlier walls, though effective in their time, were not continuous. They were isolated, fragmented, and could not offer the unified protection the empire needed. When Qin Shi Huang ascended the throne, he decided to unite these disparate walls into one continuous barrier that would span the empire's entire northern border. As you walk, the ground beneath your feet constantly shifts. Sometimes it's soft and muddy, the earth giving way with each step, making the journey more treacherous. The emperor lives a life of unimaginable luxury, untouched by the hardships faced by those who labor for him. The relentless demand for progress, the ticking clock of time, feels like an oppressive force. Every day is filled with anxiety, the pressure to meet quotas, to finish sections of the wall by strict deadlines, knowing that failing to do so could lead to punishment. The emperor's desire for the wall to be completed as quickly as possible is unyielding, and the weight of this urgency hangs heavy over the laborers. Every stone laid, every section built, is a testament to the empire's might, yet a constant reminder of the harsh realities of your own existence. His palace is filled with marble floors, golden chalices, and the sweet scent of incense that fills the air. His life is one of opulence, a far cry from the grueling reality of the workers. The divide between the elite and the common people is vast, and you are constantly reminded of your place in the world. The hard stone beneath your feet is rough and jagged, offering little comfort as you navigate the construction site. You can feel the weight of your labor in every aching muscle, in the grains of sand that slip between your fingers as you pass stones from hand to hand. As your hands grip the rough stones, the abrasions begin to tell a story of their own, the wear and tear from long days of toil, of hours spent under the hot sun or in the chill of the evening winds. At other times, the ground turns rocky and uneven, the sharp stones pressing into your sandals. Each step requires your full attention, each surface a reminder that this world, both natural and constructed, is always in flux. Yet, no matter the challenge, you keep moving forward, as the wall, a great serpent winding across the land, beckons to you both as a daunting task and a mark of progress. The air feels thick with the scent of dampness, and the wetness of the earth sticks to your sandals as you move. The wind occasionally shifts, bringing a cool breeze that cuts through the air, but the comfort is fleeting. It does little to soothe the body. Still burning with the exertion of the day's work, the stones you carry are heavy, their weight pressing into your shoulders and wrists, leaving your body sore, but determined. With every lift you feel the task at hand. Each stone is part of something greater, something that will outlast the generations who are building it. The world you live in is defined by a strict hierarchy, one where your position is largely determined by birth, and your actions controlled by those who sit far above you. Your labor is not by choice but by necessity, driven by the imperial edict that demands your work. Yet, there is an awareness, a constant shadow, that lingers. Living under the shadow of the Great Wall's construction, you feel the weight of your task pressing down on you. As the wall stretches across the land, you can feel it looming over you. A symbol of the Emperor's grand vision, the construction of the Great Wall was not simply a matter of imperial whim, but a necessity dictated by the geopolitical realities of the time. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of the Qin dynasty, saw the necessity of consolidating China's defenses to prevent further invasions. Before the unification of China, various states and kingdoms built their own walls and fortifications to defend against invaders. The unification of these walls into the Great Wall represented the emperor's larger goal of unification, not just of the physical landscape, but of the people and regions under his rule. As the first light of day begins to creep over the distant mountains, the world stirs with the quiet murmurs of waking life. The morning air is cool, thick with the scent of damp earth and fresh dew. A fleeting moment of peace before the grueling labor begins. You awaken, not on a soft bed, but on a makeshift mat of straw, the edges worn from use. The ground beneath you is hard, unforgiving, and your body aches from the relentless toil of the previous day. You wear a tunic, made of rough cloth that scratches against your skin as you move, and sandals that offer little protection from the harsh terrain beneath your feet. The sandals are worn down at the soles, and the straps have begun to fray, but they are still functional. Each stone is heavy, sometimes slick with moisture, other times rough with cracks that make them difficult to maneuver. These stones, each one painstakingly lifted, carried, and placed, will form the foundation of the wall, block by block. You know that your work, though small, in the grand scale, will help create something monumental, something that will stretch across the land and endure for generations. They carry the dust of the construction site from yesterday, and as you rise, the cold stone beneath your feet sends a shiver up your spine. The hot sun beats down on their backs, their faces darkened by the exposure. The sweat on their brows drips down into their eyes, but they don't stop. Every movement is a rhythm, a step in a long, tiring process that will continue from dawn until dusk. An evening, except for the brief respite that comes when the sun finally begins to set. As the day winds down, the temperature drops, and the exhaustion begins to settle into your bones. Some talk about their families back home, others share stories from their villages, and a few sit in silence, their faces tired and solemn. You lie back on your straw mat, feeling the earth beneath you. The day is done, and though your body aches, there's a strange peace in knowing that tomorrow, the work will continue. The Great Wall is slowly rising, and each laborer, each stone, is part of that legacy. The pain in your back, your legs, and your arms is ever present, but it is familiar now. You have learned to endure, to push past the exhaustion and keep working until the wall stands taller, piece by piece. There's no conversation at first, just the rhythm of the work. The clinking of tools against stone, the shuffling of feet across the dirt, and the soft murmur of voices in the background. The sweat pours from your body, soaking your tunic, and the sunburns begin to sting. A constant reminder that the work continues despite the discomfort. The earth beneath your feet turns dry and cracked from the heat, and the occasional gust of wind carries dust with it, making it hard to breathe. Despite the harsh conditions, the laborers press on. Their bodies are weary, but their resolve is strong. The work is not just for the emperor, it's for the empire. It's for the protection of generations to come, and for the immortality of the Great Wall. Yet, there is no reprieve. There are no breaks unless it's for water or to shift positions. The workers endure whether from fear of punishment, the will to complete their task, or the determination to see their legacy etched into history. You and the other workers gather your tools and head back to the makeshift camps where you will spend the night. The exhaustion is heavy, but there is a strange comfort in the rhythm of the work, knowing that you contributed to something greater than yourself. The air is alive with the sounds of labor. The rhythmic pounding of hammers against stone fills your ears, a steady beat that echoes through the worksite. The scrape of metal against rock and the occasional clang of a misdirected strike are all part of the daily soundtrack. There is a constant murmur of voices, instructions shouted between workers, complaints about the heat, and occasional bursts of laughter from the camaraderie shared amongst those who are in this together. The air is thick with the smell of sweat and earth, and the steady pace of work begins to fall into place. The heat of the day is already beginning to climb, and soon, the sounds of labor will be the only music to your ears, as the monumental task stretches ahead. There is no luxury in these garments, only the practicality required to survive the grueling days ahead. Every muscle, every joint protests, as you slowly sit up, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle in. The first layer of stones is placed, the foundations of the great structure that will stand for centuries. There's a sense of both pride and exhaustion as you watch the wall slowly rise, piece by piece. Yet, the task is far from simple. You can feel the pressure to work quickly, to meet the Emperor's demands, to complete the section of the wall before the day ends. Every stone placed is one more step closer to completing the colossal wall, but the work is grueling and unrelenting. The sounds of the morning surround you, distant birds singing their songs of dawn, the gentle rustling of leaves as a breeze dances through the trees, and the soft patter of footsteps as your fellow workers stir. There's an underlying hum in the air, a mixture of fatigue, anticipation, and determination. Some of the workers are already preparing for the day ahead, while others gather their tools, exchanging quiet words. As the sun's rays slowly push away the fog, the world seems to come alive, and with it, the realization that today, just like every day, is another day of ceaseless labor. You stretch, feeling the coldness of the earth against your feet, and gaze out towards the vast stretch of land that will soon become part of the Great Wall. The silence that once prevailed is now gently broken by the movements of those around you. Your clothes are simple, practical, and threadbare from overuse. You gather your tools, each one a testament to the labor you'll perform. The wooden shovel feels heavy in your hands, its handle worn smooth from countless uses, but its purpose remains clear. The shovel is used for digging into the earth, carving paths and creating foundations for the wall. Next to you, take up your hammer, its head solid and strong, yet it has borne the brunt of the task for many months. It is chipped and dented from years of pounding stone, but its weight feels familiar in your hand. As you grip the handle, the muscles in your arms flex, a reminder of the continuous toil that awaits. Then, there are the stones. The rocks, rough and jagged, are gathered from the quarries and passed along human chains. As the day's work begins, you set out with your tools, surrounded by the sounds of your fellow laborers. The construction site is a beehive of activity. Every worker has a role to play, from those carving the stones into shape, to those hauling them up steep hillsides. The work site stretches across the land, with sections of the wall already partially constructed. Workers are arranged in human chains, passing stones along, their faces weary but resolute. The conditions here are unforgiving. As the sun climbs higher, the heat becomes nearly unbearable. The landscape, once serene in the early morning light, now becomes a place of brutal toil. The toil is relentless. Each day blends into the next, with little distinction between morning. As the sun dips beneath the horizon, the pace of work slows. The quiet murmur of voices fills the camp as workers settle down for the night. As the sun rises and the workers begin their daily tasks, the air is filled with the steady sounds of labor. The constant scrape of metal on rock echoes through the construction site as chisels bite into the stone, shaping them to fit perfectly into the growing structure. The weight of the rocks is immense, the sharp edges rough against their calloused hands. The noise is steady and unrelenting, punctuated by the occasional murmur of workers complaining about the heat or the difficulty of the task at hand. The clink of tools, the shuffle of feet on the dusty ground. There are the haulers, responsible for transporting the heavy stones from the quarry to the site. The stones are often too heavy to carry in one go, so each laborer grabs a portion of the load and hands it down the line. These workers deal with the finer details of construction, measuring the gaps, ensuring the walls are straight, mixing mortars and laying bricks. Their job requires a steady hand and keen attention to detail. The overseer's harsh presence reminds everyone that failure to meet expectations can lead to severe consequences. Many workers live in fear of failing to meet the demands of the Emperor's project, knowing that punishment could come in the form of lashings, imprisonment, or even death. The earth underfoot changes as the workers move along the length of the wall. Sometimes the ground is dry, cracked, and covered in dust, making each step feel like a burden. There are moments of fatigue, when the weight of the stone and the endless tasks begin to feel too much. The rhythm of the wall, the sound of the tools, and the murmurs of the workers continued, driving everyone forward. The Great Wall looms ahead, as both a physical and psychological monument to the power of the emperor, the land, and the laborers who strive to complete it. The pain in your back, your legs, and your hands is relentless, but it is familiar now. You have learned to endure, to push through the exhaustion, knowing that failure is not an option. The workers are united in this shared struggle, understanding that their survival depends on the success of the war. And yet, in their hearts, they are well aware of the cost. The mental toll is heavy. There are whispers of how many laborers have died from exhaustion, illness, or the harsh conditions. Other times, the ground is soft and muddy, and the workers' sandals sink deep into the earth as they move forward. There is little relief from the weather, which can vary from extreme heat to biting cold. The heat during the day is intense, making the workers' bodies sweat profusely, while the nights are cold and damp, leaving them vulnerable to illness. Yet, no matter the discomfort, the work must continue. The sounds of their work are softer than the heavy lifting, but no less vital. The task is daunting so much so that some wonder if it will ever be completed. The Great Wall, stretching across vast distances, seems like an endless expanse that will take not just years but lifetimes to build. And sometimes the cold winds carry dust and debris, obstructing vision and making it hard to breathe. But the laborers know that the work cannot be stopped, no matter the conditions. The Great Wall must be built. Each day brings new challenges, but the workers know that they must press on. The emperor's will is absolute, and the success of the empire depends on this colossal structure being completed. The mortar is mixed with quiet grunts, the soft sounds of shovels digging into wet earth, and the rhythmic thud of bricks being set into place. These workers must keep a precise rhythm, ensuring that the wall is level and stable, while others bring in the raw materials. Every piece of the wall must fit, and every brick, stone, or slab of wood must be carefully placed to avoid causing weakness in the structure. The stones pass from hand to hand, with each worker lifting, passing, and adjusting. The sound of stones scraping against flesh and wooden handles is constant, and the rhythm of the line is smooth but fraught with exhaustion. The workers are careful but on each one, hoping that their turn on the chain ends soon so they can rest. They carry the enormous rocks on their backs, or with simple wooden sledges, struggling against the uneven ground. Their movements slow and deliberate as they move from one end of the site to the next. The rocks are unwieldy and sharp, difficult to navigate through the uneven terrain, and the constant weight of the stone wears down on them as the hours drag on, and the rhythmic pounding of hammers fill the air, creating a constant soundtrack to the day's labor. The rhythm of the work is almost musical. First, the scrape of tools against rock, then the thud of the stones being lifted and placed, and the occasional shout as a worker adjusts the position of a stone, or as the stones pass down the human chain. These men carry the heavy responsibility of maintaining the flow of labor, ensuring that everyone is fulfilling their roles and that the wall is being constructed properly. The overseers walk through the site, shouting out instructions or scolding those who are falling behind. They stand taller, their bodies clad in better clothing than the laborers, and their sharp eyes miss nothing. The overseers are often seen walking along the walls, construction site, inspecting the work, pointing out flaws, and offering instructions to improve efficiency. You can hear the grunting of laborers, their heavy breaths, as they lift and carry these monumental stones. The chatter among the workers is mostly muted, but there's a subtle camaraderie in their shared toil. Some talk about their families, others whisper about their hopes for a day when this endless labor might come to an end. Yet, even in the silence between tasks, the weight of the work is palpable. It hangs in the air like a constant pressure, the realization that there is no end in sight, just the perpetual rhythm of the wall's construction. A few discuss the emperor's grand vision, wondering if the wall will truly stand for as long as he dreams. But most workers are focused on their individual tasks, the overwhelming fatigue and heat taking priority over any form of conversation. The sheer physicality of the labor demands their attention, lifting, bending, pushing, and pulling. Even the smallest mistake could slow the progress, so every worker is dedicated to the rhythm of the task, with each stone placed as carefully as possible. The noise of the site is almost all-consuming. There is little respite except for brief breaks, when workers are allowed to drink water or rest for a few moments before continuing. The construction site is bustling with different groups of workers, each performing a specific role in the monumental task of building the Great Wall. as one of the workers in the chain, are likely part of the human chains that pass the stones from one person to the next. The builders at the wall's foundation are another vital part of the workforce. There are also overseers, individuals tasked with making sure the workers follow orders and keep the pace. But for the workers, the overseers are reminders of the strict hierarchy that governs this construction. In between tasks, the workers sometimes take brief moments to catch their breath, but there is little time for true rest. The work continues relentlessly. The conditions are not forgiving. The weather also impacts the progress of the wall. Torrential rains make it nearly impossible to work on certain days. As the hours pass, the physical toll begins to wear down on the laborers, but there is little time to dwell on such thoughts. The harsh weather of ancient China is an ever-present burden for the laborers working on the Great Wall. The heat of the midday sun bears down like a relentless force, turning the earth beneath their feet into a dry, cracked wasteland. It feels as if the sun itself is a divine punishment, sending waves of heat across the construction site. The temperature drops sharply. The cold of the night seeps into the bones of the workers, making every movement feel like an effort. The contrast between the day's heat and the night's chill is brutal. You've become used to the soreness muscles that were once supple now feel tight and unyielding. With each step, your swollen feet protest against the constant weight they carry. The once familiar feeling of soreness becomes constant. It's not just the back or the legs or the hands, it's your entire body. They endure, not out of choice, but out of necessity. They know that the Emperor's will must be done, and any deviation, any hesitation, could result in punishment. There's no chance to recover, no opportunity to sleep through the heat of the day. The sun beats down mercilessly, the cold cuts deep in the night, and your body continues to protest. But the wall must be built. The Emperor's will is absolute, and there is no room for weakness. Even in the face of these unbearable conditions, the laborers push forward, driven by fear, survival, and the desperate hope that one day, the wall will stand tall, a testament to their toil. You can feel your body growing weaker, your movements slowing, your mind growing foggy from the constant exertion and lack of water. They become accustomed to their suffering, their bodies toughened and worn by the constant labor. Each day is an exercise in perseverance, a reminder of the enormous cost of the wall's construction. But even in the face of exhaustion, in the midst of suffering, there is the hope, perhaps fleeting, perhaps naive, that their labor will someday be recognized. That the Great Wall will stand as a monument, not just to the Emperor's will, but to their own strength and endurance. Yet, the work does not stop, and neither does your pace. You have no choice but to keep moving, one stone after another, one step after another, the sweat pouring down, your body mixing with the dirt and dust as you press on toward the unyielding task of constructing the Great Wall. The fear of divine or imperial wrath lingers in the back of your mind, always reminding you that to stop, to rest for too long, could mean death, or worse, exiled, which was often a death sentence in itself. You can feel the strain in your bones, a deep, unshakable weariness that never quite goes away. But there is no relief. There's always more work to do, always another stretch of the wall to complete. The sandals you wear, simple and worn, offer little protection from the sharp rocks and uneven ground. Blisters are a daily occurrence, and the dirt that gets under your feet and between your toes adds to the discomfort. Still, you keep moving. There's no time for rest. There's no time to care for your injuries. The work must go on. After each day's labor, the pain is a familiar companion, a constant reminder that there is no end in sight. You might have been drenched in sweat just a few hours ago, but now, as the winds pick up, the cold cuts through your thin clothing, sending a chill that seems to pierce to the marrow. There is no time for warmth, no blankets to wrap yourself in. With each passing hour under the scorching sun, the need for water becomes more pressing. But there is little to drink, only small, muddy pools of water or streams that are often stagnant and undrinkable. The thirst gnaws at you, and the feeling of dryness in your throat becomes unbearable. Yet you continue to work, driven by the understanding that to pause and rest is not an option. Your clothes, sweat-soaked from the day, feel like a burden as they stiffen with the chill. The contrast between the searing heat of the day and the biting cold of the night is exhausting in itself. The body, already worn and weary, struggles to adjust to the extreme fluctuations. You can feel the sweat trickling down your back, stinging your eyes, the sun's rays unrelenting as you dig into the earth or carry stones. There's little respite. The heat makes the air thick, and each breath feels heavy, thick with the dust of the land. The ground beneath your feet is a mixture of cracked dirt and loose gravel, turning into a treacherous maze that becomes harder to navigate the longer the day drags on. The midday sun is blistering, and there's no shade. Only the endless expanse of the wall in front of you, stretching far into the distance. The heat causes the workers to pause often, drenched in sweat, only to push through again and again, driven by the looming shadow of the Emperor's will. As the sun begins to set, bringing relief from the scorching heat, a different enemy appears. The toll on the body is unrelenting. With each passing day, the laborers' bodies become marked by the hardships they endure. Hands, once soft, are now rough and calloused. The skin thickened from constant contact with harsh tools and unforgiving stone. There are no moments to care for your hands, to soothe them. Every laborer bears the same marks: cracked knuckles, torn skin, and deep cuts from sharp rocks or the blunt edges of tools. It's a grim reminder of the work hands, once capable of gentler tasks, now made tough by the harsh demands of construction. Your back aches from the constant strain of lifting stones, hauling them, bending to lay them in place, and working in such physically demanding positions. Your legs, too, bear the weight of the journey. As the days drag into months, and the months stretch into years, the physical toll only deepens. And yet, even in the face of this relentless strain, the workers press on. The physical exhaustion becomes a familiar companion, a haze that wraps itself around the laborer's thoughts. As the day progresses, the heat intensifies, draining your energy with every move you make. The exhaustion becomes all-encompassing, leaving workers near the breaking point. Despite the relentless hardships, the workers on the Great Wall endure. The workday for the laborers constructing the Great Wall of China begins long before the first rays of sunlight touch the earth. As the sky lightens and the chill of the night gradually lifts, the workers stir from their makeshift bedding, where sleep was a fleeting comfort. In the quiet stillness, the workers gather briefly, some forming small groups, others in solitary reflection. It is a practice learned out of necessity, not faith. The exhaustion, both physical and emotional, seeps in, and the weight of the task begins to feel insurmountable. The work is endless. Stones are hoisted, walls are built, but the Great Wall stretches ever farther, its completion nowhere in sight. The workers know that the Emperor demands this wall to be built. There is no turning back, no room for pause, and certainly no opportunity to question the wisdom of the task. Every day is the same. Lift, carry, place. There is a quiet camaraderie formed through the shared suffering. Some whispering encouragement to one another. Some share stories of their homes, their families, the lives they once had. These fleeting connections offer a brief respite, allowing them to hold on to the human bonds that the Great Wall threatens to erase. They are, in the end, only human, and in that shared humanity, they find small comfort. Stones are added, layer by layer, but it seems as though the wall grows only to stretch farther. That, even if they are not named, their effort will be seen in the wall, standing tall, against the winds of time. It was built by the hands of those who had little choice but to labor on, and in doing so, they became part of something much larger than themselves. A monument to a distant emperor, to an empire, to an idea, but also a monument to their own sweat, their strength, and their silent suffering. And if it is, will it protect them? Or will it become a monument to the emperor's ego, a symbol of his power that leaves the workers nothing but the labor, the hardship, and the memory of their sweat? The wall stretches behind them, unfinished, as it will be the next day, and the next. They crawl into their beds, bodies aching from the day's toil, their minds wandering in the quiet. The stars above, distant and cold, seem to mock their efforts. It is a hard existence, a life of labor with no reward, and with little hope that things will ever change. They know their survival depends on the gods' favor, and so, in their most personal way, they offer a silent prayer. Days blend into one another, the sun's relentless heat giving way to the bitter chill of night, and the work continues. Some may even begin to doubt the purpose of it all. Perhaps they were once farmers, traders, or craftsmen. Now, they are part of a massive, impersonal project, one that demands their energy, their time, and their spirit. They are no longer individuals. They are part of a collective effort, an anonymous mass. And yet, there is a sense of duty, an understanding that the wall is something greater than any single person. It is a monument to the empire, to the emperor's vision. And in the end, the workers, despite their frustration, are tied to that vision, whether they believe in it or not. What will they leave behind? What will become of them when their task is done? Will they be forgotten like so many others, lost in the dust and stone of the Great Wall? Or will their names be lost to history, reduced to little more than the indentations of their labor. The laborers' bodies grow accustomed to pain. Blisters form on hands, feet, and backs. They are mere cogs in a machine, one that will continue regardless of whether they live or die. There are no guarantees, no assurances that the effort will be recognized. Many work in silence, their frustration unspoken, only visible in the weariness of their movements, the way they shuffle under the weight of their daily burdens, muscles strained under the weight of stones, shoulders ache with every heavy lift. The familiar ache becomes something more persistent, a low hum of discomfort that accompanies every movement. There is no relief. A quick gesture, perhaps a slight bow of the head, or a soft murmur of thanks for the earth beneath their feet. The overwhelming task before them feels like a never-ending stretch of stone. Who will remember them? Will the emperor see their sacrifices? Will their names be carved into the stones they labor to place? These thoughts come less frequently now, replaced by a quiet sense of resignation. A prayer to the gods of strength, protection, or harvest, asking that the work go smoothly, and that they remain safe from the dangers that haunt the walls in starvation or the wrath of the emperor. The thin blankets provide little warmth against the cold mountain air, and the rough mats of straw offer little respite from the hard ground. In these brief moments, the workers perhaps imagine the success of their task, visualizing the completed wall stretching out before them, an unbroken barrier that will stand the test of time. The ritual of offering thanks or pleading for favor is a shared bond, uniting the laborers despite their differences. Each one, whether a soldier, a prisoner, or a peasant, holds the same hope in their heart, that their sacrifice will matter. Even if they are forgotten, they want to know that their labor, their sweat, and their suffering will contribute to something monumental. The laborers wake with the dawn, muscles stiff from yesterday's exertions, their bodies accustomed to pain and fatigue, but they rise nonetheless. The scent of the dew-covered earth is sharp in the morning air, mixing with the faint trace of smoke from distant fires, the remnants of a campfire from the night before. Before the tasks begin, there is a brief moment of ritual, a moment of connection to something beyond the relentless work. It is a small moment of peace amidst the chaos of the work, a fleeting connection to something larger than themselves. But as the days stretch into weeks and months, the ritual of work begins to feel less like a spiritual connection and more like an empty formality. The realization begins to set in that this will be their life for the foreseeable future. The initial hope, the belief that their work will someday be remembered, begins to wane. For many workers, the day-to-day grind of building the Great Wall is a reminder of their insignificance. And yet, even in this oppressive atmosphere, there are moments of shared solidarity among the workers. But the frustration is hard to deny. There is the constant uncertainty: will this wall ever be completed? As night falls, the workers return to their camps. There are moments when the weight of the task feels crushing, when the laborers wonder if they will live long enough to see the wall completed. For some, the frustration and despair are unbearable. They continue, driven by a silent determination, a necessity. Perhaps they hope, however quietly, that their sacrifice will be remembered. The Great Wall stands as a testament to both human perseverance and human suffering. The sun's descent into the horizon marks the end of yet another grueling day. The once blistering heat of the afternoon now begins to soften, but for the workers, the coolness of the evening is a hollow comfort. As they walk toward their resting quarters, their pace slows, each step more laborious than the last. The air, thick with the smell of sweat, earth, and the faint traces of burnt wood from the campfires, presses down on them like a tangible weight. Each movement feels like a release, as if the weight of the world is momentarily lifted from their aching shoulders. Yet, despite the exhaustion, there's no escaping the knowledge that tomorrow, the labor will begin again. It's not just stone stacked upon stone, it's the culmination of their struggles, their endless work, and their hope that, somehow, this wall will matter. It will stand as a testament to their lives. Their hands may not be remembered, but the wall itself will endure, an immortal creation that will carry the weight of their labor long after they have gone. The weight of the day's labor hangs heavy on their tired muscles. Do they still remember them? Do they still wait for their return? They wonder whether they will ever see their families again. But the harsh reality of their existence soon returns. No one escapes the Great Wall's demand. The harshness of the day is behind them, and sleep begins to settle in like a blanket over their weary bodies. As their eyelids grow heavy, their minds are not filled with dreams of grandeur or fame, and in the quiet of the night, the workers sleep, knowing they will rise again with the first light, to continue their endless work on the Great Wall of China. Instead, their thoughts are simple, mundane: a wish for rest, a hope that tomorrow's work will be easier, a fleeting desire for peace. There is no room for respite here, no room for wishes of a life beyond the stones. They helped build this. Every stone, every brick laid into place is theirs. Perhaps tomorrow will bring something better. Perhaps tomorrow will be the day that marks the end of their suffering, the day when they finish a section of the wall and finally receive their reward. The workers may not know when or how it will come, but for now, they hold on to the thought of a day when their work will be recognized or rewarded in some way, when the emperor or some higher authority will see their sacrifice and grant them relief. There is no escape from it. The wall must be finished, not for the workers themselves, but for the empire. They are but small pieces in a much larger puzzle, one that will outlast them. Their bodies rest, if only for a few hours, before the cycle begins again with the dawn. Tomorrow, they will wake to the same landscape, the same toil, and the same endless task that stretches on, as far as the eye can see. The sweat, blood, and sacrifice of these workers will be buried under the stones they lay, unnoticed by history, but undeniable in its magnitude. But even in this fleeting moment of reflection, there is also a quiet acknowledgement that the work is far from finished. The wall stretches endlessly before them, as far as the eye can see. What they've completed today will soon be dwarfed by the new sections they must begin tomorrow. The once soft fabric of their tunics now feels rough against their skin, having been worn and torn from the constant friction of their labor. The warmth of the sun that once scorched their skin now feels like a distant memory. They will not be immortalized in the annals of history. There will be no statues of these workers, no grand speeches in their honor. But there is something profound in the knowledge that this wall, this vast and unbroken stretch of stone, will endure in a way that they, as individuals, will not. And the chill of the evening air cuts through the layers of dust that have settled on their body. The quiet hum of conversation drifts across the camp, low murmurs shared between those two tired to speak louder. Some workers share stories of home, of families they left behind in distant villages, and of lives they once knew. Others simply sit in silence, staring into the fire, their minds adrift in a mixture of fatigue and silent longing. Their thoughts are as worn as their bodies, tired, weary, but never completely devoid of hope. They are tired, so tired that sleep almost seems like a distant, elusive promise, but they know they must rest to face another day. The low murmur of voices and the distant sound of footsteps are the only remnants of a day spent in relentless toil. With each step, their feet drag, swollen and tender from carrying heavy stones, trudging along rough terrain, and climbing the steep slopes of the wall's construction site. To the untrained eye, but to them, it is much more than that. It is a creation born of their sweat, their sacrifice, their very lives. Each movement becomes a study in exhaustion. The workers feel the ache in their backs and arms, the strain of muscles that have been forced to work beyond their natural limits. Their sandals, worn thin from the harsh terrain, scrape against the uneven ground with each step. At their camp, the workers begin to remove the heavy tools they've carried all day, their shovels, hammers, and picks. As the workers make their way to their quarters, there is a quiet moment when their gaze falls on the wall. They have been building perhaps for weeks, or perhaps for months, but still, it stretches endlessly into the distance. They pause, some lingering longer than others, and look at the section of the wall they've helped build. A deep sense of pride and weariness wells up in their chests. The realization settles in like a slow, creeping weight. This is an unyielding task. They continue their silent observations, aware of how their contribution to this monumental structure will fade into the sands of time, just as they will. As the workers gather around their campfires, the crackle of burning wood fills the air, the flickering flames casting long shadows against the rough stone and the hard earth. For some, the quiet moments of the evening are filled with the brief, flickering thoughts of their loved ones. And yet, despite the exhausting nature of their work and the toll it takes on their body, there is still a faint thread of hope. They eat their sparse meals, drink the water that has been brought to them from distant wells, and settle into their quarters. And so, under the blanket of night, the workers sleep. But for now, they rest. The wall stands in silence, a testament to their labor, their pain, and their hope. The laborers toiling under the scorching sun, the echoes of stones clinking into place, and the exhaustion settling into the bones of countless workers. They were all part of a grand vision, a vision that stretched far beyond the task at hand. The Great Wall of China, an immense architectural marvel, would not have come into existence without the strategic brilliance of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the man whose ambition would shape the destiny of China for centuries, while the workers labored, their sweat and blood etched into the very stone they laid. The emperor's mind was set on a grander purpose, the unification and protection of his empire. The laborers, with every stone they placed, were contributing not just to a physical structure, but to a symbol of the emperor's immense power. His vision for a united China was not just about military defense, it was also about establishing a legacy that would endure. For Qin Shi Huang, the Great Wall was more than just a physical barrier. It was a political and cultural statement that symbolized his reign. As we look deeper into his life, his rise to power, and the political and military strategies behind the wall's construction, we will come to understand how the fate of China rested on this emperor's shoulders, and how his decisions set the stage for the vast empire that would rise and fall under his watch. For the people who built the wall, it was an act of obedience to the emperor's vision and determination that led to one of the most enduring legacies in human history, the Great Wall of China. They did not know the long-term implications of their work, but they were forever tied to Qin Shi Huang's ambition. Their sacrifices, their pain, their endurance, each brick they set in place, would one day stand as a testament to the emperor's unyielding determination. The wall was not merely a defensive measure, it was the physical manifestation of Qin Shi Huang's power, his desire to consolidate control over an empire he sought to unify and protect from the external forces that threatened it. As the sun set on another day of labor, it's time to step back and shift our focus to the man at the helm of this colossal project. The first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang. What was it that compelled him to envision a barrier that stretched thousands of miles? What drove him to put so many lives at risk in the construction of this mighty wall? In this next segment, we will delve into the life of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the visionary ruler whose military genius and political ambition led to the creation of the Great Wall. From his early years as the king of the Qin state to his unification of China under one centralized rule, we will explore the motivations, challenges, and triumphs of the man whose decisions would reverberate throughout history. In the next chapter of this historical journey, we'll uncover the driving forces behind Qin Shi Huang's monumental decisions. Join us as we begin this exploration into the life of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, uncovering the vision, ambition. The story of Emperor Qin Shi Huang begins, not in the golden halls of grandeur, but in the fractured world of warring state. Born in 259 BCE as Ying, the future emperor of China was thrust into a tumultuous world from the very beginning. The young king was still under the guidance of the court officials, who held considerable power and influence. The land was divided among several competing states. The ongoing warfare and struggle for supremacy created a world in which loyalty was often fleeting. Alliances were fragile, and power was constantly in flux. Not only did he face external threats from rival states, but he also had to contend with internal dissension. The political instability within the Qin court during his early years could have easily derailed his reign. He sought nothing less than the unification of China. His military campaigns were not just about defending Qin's borders, they were about eliminating the other warring states and bringing them under his rule. And unifying China under his rule, Yingzing took the title of Qin Shi Huang, meaning first emperor of Qin. This moment marked the birth of the first centralized imperial dynasty in Chinese history. As the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang's vision extended far beyond military conquest. He sought to create a lasting empire, one that would stand for centuries. Over the course of several years, Yingzeng, through a combination of military force, diplomacy, and strategy, systematically conquered the other states. It was a manifestation of Qin Shi Huang's power, his vision for an empire that could withstand external threats and internal unrest. His determination, vision, and ability to centralize power were key factors in the success of the Qin dynasty. But the cost of his ambition was also high, and the legacy he left behind is one that is both awe-inspiring and, at times, unsettling. It represented the unity and strength of the Qin dynasty, and it would go on to become one of the most iconic symbols of Chinese civilization. No longer would China be divided by warring factions. Under Qin Shi Huang's rule, there would be one empire, one language, one system of laws, and one vision for the future. This centralization of power was crucial to the long-term stability of China, but it also came at a great cost. His success was not just a testament to his military prowess, but also to his ability to manage and direct the vast resources of the Qin state. The idea of a massive, unified defensive structure was born from the emperor's desire to protect his newly unified empire from external threats, particularly from the nomadic tribes to the north. The construction of the wall was an ambitious and costly undertaking, requiring the labor of thousands of workers. It symbolized the emperor's absolute control over the empire, as well as his desire to protect his people from the chaos that had once ruled China. He enacted sweeping reforms to control every aspect of Chinese society. His quest for unity often involved violent suppression of dissent. Those who opposed him, whether politically or culturally, were met with severe consequences. He ordered the burning of books that conflicted with his ideology and executed scholars who dared to challenge his authority. Despite these measures, Qin Shi Huang's determination to create a unified, centralized state remained unshaken. He standardized the written script, making it easier for people across the vast empire to communicate and trade. He introduced a uniform currency system, allowing for economic stability and growth. And most importantly, he constructed monumental infrastructure projects, including the Great Wall of China, to protect the empire from external threats. The factionalism and infighting among the nobility were constant, and even after he took full control of the kingdom, he faced numerous challenges from within his own ranks. Yet, Yin Geng's determination never wavered. As he grew older, he began to consolidate power by purging his court of enemies and securing the loyalty of his generals and ministers. For Yin Zhang, the chaos of this period became both a challenge and a driving force. He was now a ruler in full control, with a clear vision for the future. It was during this time that he began to implement significant reforms that would lay the foundation for his future achievements. Yin Zheng's rise was not solely due to his military victories, but also his administrative genius. He reformed the legal system, centralized the government, and standardized weights, measures, and currency across the state. These reforms were designed not only to strengthen his rule but to unify the disparate regions of China into a cohesive whole. As he observed the endless battles for control, he grew determined not only to consolidate power in his hands, but to forge a unified China that would put an end to the strife that defined his early life. During his early years as king, his authority was often overshadowed by these powerful regions, and the governance of his state was somewhat out of his hands. However, despite his youth, Yin Zhang displayed an incredible resolve and sharp intellect, qualities that would shape him into a leader capable of unifying China. His father, King Zhongshan of Qin, was a ruler of great ambition, but his reign was brief, leaving the young Yin Zhang to inherit a kingdom rife with instability and potential threats. Yin Zhang knew that, to secure his position, he had to build a kingdom capable of defending itself from external threats and maintaining control over its people. But more than that, he envisioned a grander idea. He sought to unite all of China under his rule, to bring an end to the division and chaos that plagued the land for centuries. At just 13 years old, Yin Zhang ascended to the throne of the Qin state, but his rule was not immediately secure. The Warring States period was a time of constant turmoil in China. At the time, the Qin state was already one of the most powerful and militaristic of the warring states, but it was not invincible. Yin Geng's path to power was fraught with danger. By the age of 22, Yin Zhang had fully emerged as the king of Qin, no longer relying on advisors or court officials to govern on his behalf. Yin Zhang was a visionary, and his ambition went far beyond the mere expansion of Qin's territory. The success of his campaigns laid the groundwork for the eventual unification of China. In 221 BCE, after successfully conquering the other warring states, the idea of an empire that was unified under one ruler was revolutionary at the time. Qin Shi Huang's rule was marked by a series of bold, and often ruthless, decisions. However, these reforms were not always popular. Qin Shi Huang's authoritarian rule was characterized by harsh laws and punishments, while his military campaigns and reforms were monumental. Perhaps the most lasting symbol of Qin Shi Huang's rule is the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall, which stretched over 13,000 miles across China's northern borders, was more than just a physical barrier. As we reflect on the early life of Qin Shi Huang and his rise to power, we see a ruler who was driven by an unyielding ambition to unify China and secure its future. Qin Shi Huang's reign is one of the most significant in Chinese history, defined by monumental achievements and visionary decisions that still resonate today. At the heart of his ambition was the vision of a unified China, a vast empire that could stand strong and unchallenged. The northern territories were constantly threatened by nomadic tribes, particularly the Zhou, who were fierce warriors known for their ability to strike quickly and retreat into the vast open steppes. These invasions had long been a source of instability, hampering the development and unity of the Chinese states. However, This unity would only be sustainable if Qin Shi Huang could secure the borders of his newly unified state. It was this realization that led him to commission the construction of the Great Wall, symbol of strength, control, and the enduring power of his dynasty. Despite the extreme conditions, the laborers' resolve never wavered, driven by the understanding that they were part of something far greater than themselves, a monument that would stand as a symbol of imperial power and control for millennia. Stretching over 13,000 miles across northern China, the wall wound its way through deserts, mountains, and plains, carving a path that connected multiple regions of the empire. Imagine yourself standing on the wall's edge, looking out over the vast expanse of China. The landscape stretches endlessly before you, with the wall winding like a serpentine ribbon, disappearing into the horizon. Workers often labored from dawn until dusk, and in some cases, the construction was done under the watchful eyes of overseers who were ruthless in ensuring that quotas were met. His unification of the warring states was an unprecedented achievement, but the wall represented his desire to protect that unity against any external threat. We will examine the ways in which the wall became not only a defensive structure and the symbolism that it continues to carry today as a monument to China, as enduring strength and resilience, but also a symbol of the emperor's desire to establish a legacy that would endure for centuries. It wasn't just a defensive structure, it was a bold statement of power, an assertion of the emperor's control over both the land and the people. For Qin Shi Huang, the Great Wall was a symbol of the stability and strength that he had brought to China, a physical representation of his imperial authority. Failure to meet the emperor's expectations could result in severe punishment, sometimes death. Yet despite the unimaginable hardship, the wall was built an enduring reminder of the emperor's will, and a testament to the strength and perseverance of those who were forced to create it. It was, in every sense, an overwhelming project that altered the very geography of China. While the Great Wall was not a single, continuous structure from the outset, Qin Shi Huang's efforts represented a bold new approach to border defense. In areas where stone was abundant, massive stone blocks were stacked and bound with mortars to create strong, durable walls. Soldiers would be stationed at these points, constantly on the lookout for any signs of movement beyond the wall. The harsh conditions they endured are almost unimaginable. Blistering heat during the summer, bone-chilling cold during the winter, limited food and water, and the constant threat of punishment or death. Those who were weak or sick were often abandoned, left to die on the side of the wall, their bodies contributing to the ground that now supports one of the most iconic structures in history. The towers allowed for quick communication, ensuring that any approaching enemy could be spotted and countered swiftly. This system of defense, paired with the physical barrier of the wall itself, created a nearly impenetrable line of defense that helped protect China's heartland from the invasions that had plagued its northern borders for centuries. In regions where stone was scarce, the workers used compacted earth, reinforcing it with wood and bamboo. The length and height of the wall varied based on the region, with watchtowers and fortifications dotting its path to allow soldiers to monitor and communicate across vast distances. In the face of this threat, the Great Wall was conceived not only as a physical barrier, but as an enduring symbol of Qin Shi Huang's unyielding determination to secure his empire from the chaos beyond. Thousands of workers were enlisted, ranging from soldiers and peasants to prisoners, all conscripted to build the wall, often under the threat of punishment. The harshness of the work, paired with the oppressive conditions, made it one of the most grueling undertakings in Chinese history. Workers toiled in sweltering heat during the summer and freezing cold during the winter, with little respite from their exhausting labor. The wall would be the iron spine of his vision, a defense to ensure that his vision of a united China could flourish without the constant fear of northern incursions. The construction of the wall was not only a matter of military necessity, but also an engineering feat that required the coordination of a vast labor force. The wall was built to last for centuries, with sections made from a variety of materials depending on the available resources in the region. While the physicality of the wall itself was formidable, the labor force behind its construction was an even greater testament to the ambition of Qin Shi Huang. The sheer scale of the Great Wall is one of its most impressive aspects. Despite its incredible length, the wall was also an engineering marvel, featuring a sophisticated system of watchtowers, fortifications, and beacon stations. While the Great Wall stands as a remarkable achievement in human history, it is also a monument to the suffering of countless laborers who built it. The work was grueling and constant. The construction of the Great Wall was, in many ways, the realization of Qin Shi Huang's larger vision for China. As we explore the motivations behind the wall's construction and its significance to the emperor, We will also delve into the personal and political pressures that drove Qin Shi Huang to commission such an ambitious project. In the next segment, we will explore the mysteries surrounding the construction of the Great Wall, its lost sections, the legends surrounding its building. The decision to construct the Great Wall was not only an act of defense, but a moment that defined the future of an entire civilization. The Qin dynasty, under the reign of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, stood on the precipice of an ambitious vision to unite the fragmented warring states of China into one powerful empire. His military prowess had secured his position, but the empire still faced a growing external threat: nomadic tribes from the northern steppes, particularly the Xiongnu, who had long posed a significant challenge to the safety and prosperity of China. These states were fractured, each governed by competing dynasties, and often vulnerable to both internal and external threats. After Qin Shi Huang unified the states in 221 BCE, he became the first emperor of China, marking the start of a new era. The first iterations of the wall were built long before Qin Shi Huang's reign. Various smaller fortifications existed across the northern regions, created by the different states for defense against raids from nomadic tribes. However, these walls were isolated and often ineffectively maintained, which rendered them insufficient to protect the vast empire that Qin Shi Huang sought to control. However, his empire was not immediately secure. These workers were often forced into labor, and conditions were harsh. The terrain was unforgiving, and the work was physically grueling. The laborers themselves were often anonymous, their identities erased in the wake of the war's monumental achievement. But they played an essential role in the realization of Qin Shi Huang's vision, and their suffering as part of the enduring legacy of the Great Wall. The workers had to carry heavy stones, dig trenches, and construct the wall with little in the way of tools or resources. The wall was not just a physical boundary, it was a conceptual boundary, a manifestation of the emperor's desire to establish order and stability. Its construction marked a defining moment in the history of China, and its legacy continues to resonate throughout the world. The wall is not just a feat of engineering, it is a monument to the vision of Qin Shi Huang, the laborers who built it, and the empire that he sought to protect. By creating this enduring monument, Qin Shi Huang sought to prove that the power of the Qin dynasty was unshakable, and that his reign, like the wall itself, would stand the test of time. It symbolized the strength and resilience of his rule, as well as the emperor's desire to protect his people from the dangers beyond the borders. It was an enduring reminder that Qin Shi Huang, as the first emperor, had united the disparate warring states and transformed them into a single, powerful empire. We will look at the long-term impact of the Great Wall on China's history, and how it came to represent not just physical security, but also the indomitable spirit of a people who endured hardship to secure their place in the world. The Great Wall, though built as a defense against invasion, has become a symbol of China's unity, strength, and resilience. The wall became an expression of this unity, its length and breadth, a testament to the emperor's determination to safeguard the empire from destruction. The Great Wall, though originally intended as a defensive measure, grew to symbolize the emperor's control over the fate of China and its future. As the wall stretched across the northern frontier, it served as both a physical and symbolic barrier against external threats. Food and water were scarce, and disease spread rapidly among the workers. Many workers perished from exhaustion, illness, or accidents on the job, and their lives were sacrificed for the completion of the Great Wall. The labor force was made up of soldiers, peasants, criminals, and prisoners, many of whom were tasked with building the wall as part of their punishment or as a means of fulfilling the emperor's demands. Forced labor was the backbone of the wall's construction, and the workers were often subjected to brutal conditions. He understood that securing China's borders was essential not only for its survival, but for the future stability and growth of his centralized rule. Its length would stretch approximately 13,000 miles, and its height would vary depending on the region and terrain, ranging from 15 to 30 feet tall. In some areas, the wall was as wide as 25 feet, a formidable barrier that would be difficult to breach by the invading forces. The structure would snake across the rugged terrain, winding its way through mountains, plains, and deserts, creating an unbroken boundary between the Chinese heartland and the unknown dangers to the north. But the wall would be more than just a practical solution to an immediate threat. In some places, the wall was made of compacted earth, while in other areas, bricks and stones were used to create a more solid and durable structure. In the mountain regions, where stone was plentiful, the wall was built from massive blocks, and in the deserts, where wood and mud were more accessible, the wall was made from those materials. The construction was adaptive to the landscape, a reflection of the emperor's ambition to create something that could endure the test of time. It would serve as a grand, physical manifestation of his reign and enduring symbol of the Qin dynasty, a strength and his vision for a unified empire that would not be easily overrun. The nomadic tribes from the north remained a significant threat, and the emperor understood that the new empire needed more than just military strength. It needed a defense that could withstand the ongoing invasions. In the face of these northern invaders, Qin Shi Huang sought to build not just a physical wall, but a statement of his unyielding power. The Great Wall was not just a defensive structure, it was a symbol of centralized authority, the culmination of a vision that aimed to secure China's future and mark the emperor's rule as eternal. The wall's creation spanned across 13,000 miles of rugged deserts and plains. The Qin dynasty's territorial expansion and the unification of China's many regions made it clear that a larger, more cohesive defense system was required. Thus, the idea of a continuous wall stretching across the northern frontier was born. It became both a literal and metaphorical barrier, one that separated civilization from the chaos beyond. Prior to Qin Shi Huang's rule, China was divided into several states, each fighting for dominance in the ongoing warring states period. Historically, the various states had built walls and fortifications along their borders, but these structures were disjointed, lacking the strength and continuity necessary to protect the entire empire. The decision to create the Great Wall was not a sudden one, nor was it a solitary idea that arose overnight. Upon unification, Qin Shi Huang's focus shifted to the long-term security of his empire. The scale of the Great Wall's construction was staggering. The materials used for the wall depended on the geography of the region. Building the Great Wall required an immense labor force. Thousands of workers were conscripted into the service of the emperor, with many of them being peasants, prisoners, or soldiers. These laborers faced extreme weather conditions, working in the scorching heat of the summer and freezing temperatures during the winter months. Despite these hardships, the laborers continued their work, driven by the understanding that the wall was essential to the empire's survival. The Great Wall became more than just a military fortification. It was an embodiment of Qin Shi Huang's vision for an enduring empire. The wall was also a reflection of the emperor's absolute authority. As the wall snaked across the landscape, it also marked a division between civilization and chaos. Today, the Great Wall of China stands as one of the most iconic and enduring symbols of Chinese civilization. As we move forward in our journey, we will explore the mystery of the sections of the Great Wall that have been lost to time and the legends that surround its construction. The Great Wall of China is not just a physical structure. It is a monumental achievement that embodies the complexities of ambition, human sacrifice, and the will to protect. Spanning vast distances and enduring through millennia, it serves as a testament to the vision of one-man emperor Qin Shi Huang and the monumental efforts of countless laborers who toiled under harsh conditions to bring his vision to life. The sheer scale of the Great Wall's construction is almost beyond comprehension. Stretching from the Bahai Sea in the east to the Gobi Desert in the west, the Great Wall traversed an array of terrains from desolate deserts to rugged mountains and thick forests. Imagine the complexity of navigating these natural obstacles, each one presenting unique challenges. Workers had to navigate the treacherous slopes, sometimes carving pathways out of the mountainsides to transport materials up to the wall's construction sites. These difficult conditions, coupled with the high altitudes, made the work exhausting and dangerous, and many workers perished during these parts of the construction. The builders faced a formidable task as they worked across these regions, having to adapt the materials and techniques to the changing landscape. These towers not only served as defensive structures, but also as communication hubs, allowing the soldiers to keep a watchful eye on the distant horizon and send messages through smoke, signals, fires, or even the sounds of gongs. These individuals were often treated as expendable, their lives considered inconsequential to the overall goals of the emperor. It is estimated that hundreds of thousands of laborers perished during the wall's construction, and many more suffered life-altering injuries. The wall was a lifeline for the empire, and its construction was tied to the very existence of the Qin dynasty. Although the workers may not have recognized it at the time, they were contributing to something much larger than themselves. But as a representation of the complex forces that shaped China's history, the wall, in many ways, encapsulates the very nature of empire building, ambition, power, and sacrifice. It tells the story of a ruler who sought to protect his people, and a workforce whose lives were dedicated to a vision greater than their own. And it remains a symbol of resilience, reminder that, even in the face of great adversity, humanity can accomplish remarkable feats. Their work would protect their families, their homes, and their empire from invasion. For the emperor, the war was a way to consolidate his rule and secure the future of his dynasty. For the workers, the wall symbolized the sacrifices made by a people striving for a sense of security and unity. Yet, despite these hardships, the wall stands as a testament to the dedication and resilience of those who built it. It is a physical manifestation of the power and determination of a ruler who sought to create an empire that would last forever. At the same time, it stands as a monument to the ordinary individuals who, despite their suffering, played a pivotal role in shaping the destiny of China. Their sacrifices were not in vain. They built not only a physical barrier, but also an enduring legacy that has withstood the test of time. Many were forced to endure brutal conditions with little hope of escape or reprieve. The wall, in some respects, became a mass grave for those who died in the course of its construction. Reports suggest that large numbers of workers died of exhaustion, disease, and accidents, their bodies buried within the wall itself. The idea of a wall built upon the sacrifices of so many adds a dark undertone to its grandeur, revealing the harsh price of empire. The sheer size of the Great Wall required an enormous workforce to maintain these towers, and the construction of each one was a delicate balance of engineering ingenuity and sheer physical effort. Summer heat would leave workers parched and sweating, while winter would bring cold winds and snow that chilled them to the bone. The days were long, with workers toiling from dawn until dusk, often with only brief breaks for food or rest. They worked through injuries and exhaustion, their bodies bearing the scars of the relentless toil. In some areas, the wall was constructed with stone, while in others, earth and wood were used to reinforce its structure. The majority of the laborers were conscripted peasants, prisoners of war, and soldiers. These individuals had little choice in the matter. They were compelled to work by the emperor's decree. Many were forcibly removed from their homes and sent to the construction site, where they were given little food or shelter and forced to work long hours in the harshest of conditions. Those who could not keep up with the grueling pace, or who were deemed unfit, were often subjected to brutal punishment, sometimes even death. Each region presented its own logistical nightmare, but the overarching goal was the same: to create a unified, impenetrable defense that would protect China from the looming threat of the northern nomads. What stands as one of the most striking aspects of the Great Wall is not just its physical presence, but the determination and resourcefulness that went into its creation. The wall itself was not built in a single stretch but developed over time, with sections added, repaired, and reinforced by successive rulers. In areas where stone was abundant, massive blocks of rock were used to build a sturdy foundation. The laborers would have had to quarry these stones, often from quarries far away from the construction sites, making transportation a logistical nightmare. In more arid and desolate regions, where stone was scarce, workers relied on earth and timber. They would create a base of compacted earth, mixing it with straw to form the strong, sturdy walls that could hold up against both human attacks and the elements. It was a continual effort, one that spanned centuries and involved multiple dynasties. Yet, it was during Qin Shi Huang's reign that the vision of a unified, continuous wall was set into motion, solidifying the emperor's legacy. The materials used to construct the wall varied greatly depending on the region, making it a versatile structure that could withstand both the test of time and the extremes of nature. The most challenging areas to build were the ones that traversed mountain ranges, where the terrain itself presented a serious hurdle. For some of the more vulnerable regions, especially along the northern frontier, the Great Wall was fortified with a series of walls. The labor force behind the Great Wall was composed of different types of workers, each of whom faced a different set of challenges. The conditions under which these workers labored were horrendous. As previously mentioned, the weather fluctuated between extremes. For the prisoners of war who were sent to build the Great Wall, the stakes were even higher. The Great Wall, though celebrated today as an architectural marvel, was also a symbol of immense human suffering. The laborers did not see the wall as a mere structure. For them, it represented a means of survival. The Great Wall, with its towering presence and impressive length, remains an enduring symbol of the ambition of Emperor Qin Shi Huang and the sacrifices made by countless laborers. As we look at the Great Wall today, we see it not just as a structure of stone and earth. Qin Shi Huang's vision for the Great Wall extended far beyond a mere construction project. It symbolized the consolidation of his empire, an enduring testament to his ambition, and a clear representation of his unyielding control over the vast stretches of China's territory. The wall became not just a barrier against northern invaders, but a manifestation of Qin Shi Huang's larger ambitions to forge a unified China, controlled under one centralized authority. It was both a literal and figurative boundary, demarcating the strength of his reign, the might of his dynasty, and the magnitude of his unrelenting drive for power. Qin Shi Huang was a man who feared the fragility of life and the inevitability of death. What Qin Shi Huang envisioned was a monumental continuous wall that could stretch from the western deserts to the eastern seaboard of South. The Great Wall became a tool not only for military defense, but also for controlling the movement of people and goods. It allowed for the regulation of commerce and trade between the empire and the outside world, with the wall functioning as a barrier that allowed Qin Shi Huang to determine who could enter and leave the empire. In some regions, the wall was built using stone or brick, while in others, where resources were tapped, earth was used to create the structure. It is estimated that hundreds of thousands of workers, including soldiers, prisoners, and peasants, were conscripted to build the wall, and dominance in the minds of both the people and their enemies. The walls sent a clear message to both the people of China and any potential invaders. China, under the Qin dynasty, was strong, united, and impenetrable. The emperor was not simply building a wall, he was creating a legacy of strength, one that would stand the test of time. As the wall slowly took shape, it acted as a reminder to the people of China of the emperor's might. The Great Wall continues to stand as a testament to both the vision and the cost of empire. And in the shadows of this colossal structure, the stories of those who built it continue to resonate. For the invaders, the wall became a symbol of their powerlessness, a representation of the limits of their reach. These workers faced grueling conditions, and many died from exhaustion, accidents, or the harsh weather. The Great Wall became a monument not only to Qin Shi Huang's ambition, but also to the sacrifices made by countless workers. The workers who built the wall were often treated harshly, forced to work long hours in grueling conditions. The emperor's obsession with completing the wall, one of his many attempts to cement his immortality, led to the exploitation of countless individuals. Many of these workers died from exhaustion, sickness, and accident. Their deaths were an unavoidable part of the process, and their sacrifices were rarely acknowledged. Their labor, sweat, and blood went into every brick, every stone, and every foot of the wall. The use of different materials made the wall flexible, allowing it to adapt to the changing geography. The design of the wall also featured watchtowers and garrisons, places for soldiers to keep watch and respond to threats, and signal fires that could be used to communicate messages quickly across great distances. This was vital for maintaining the internal stability of the empire and controlling the flow of resources. Unified barrier that could stand as a testament to the military and political strength of the Qin dynasty. The dead workers were buried in the very ground that now supports the wall, their lives and efforts now part of the structure's enduring legacy. For Qin Shi Huang, the wall was a symbol of his power, but for the workers, it was a reminder of their fragility in the face of such overwhelming imperial ambition. It wasn't just a matter of laying stones, it required sophisticated engineering, careful planning, and a large labor force. The wall would stretch across 13,000 miles, traversing mountains, deserts, and plains. A logistical nightmare by modern standards, let alone by the standards of the ancient world. The creation of this wall would unify not only the empire's territory, but also its military strategy, ensuring that there would be no gaps, no vulnerable points where invaders could slip through. The continuous nature of the wall, with its watchtowers and garrisons, allowed for the rapid deployment of soldiers and a quick response to any incursions. His obsession with immortality led him to take radical measures in order to secure his legacy. As the emperor, he saw himself as the embodiment of the mandate of heaven, and the Great Wall was an extension of this divine right to rule. It was not just a wall built to withstand invaders, it was a symbol of his power, his divine legitimacy, and his eternal rule. The Great Wall represented the emperor's defiance of mortality, marking his presence in history not just as a conqueror, but as someone who could ensure that his name would endure, written across the land in stone. He famously sought elixirs of life and ordered the construction of an elaborate tomb guarded by the famous terracotta army. But the Great Wall became another one of his grand attempts to immortalize his reign. By building such a monumental structure, he sought to ensure that his empire would endure for centuries. The Great Wall became a visible representation of his dreams for a united China, a wall that would stand as proof of his success, his authority, and his vision. Beyond its physical and defensive functions, the Great Wall also encapsulated Qin Shi Huang's belief in divine sanction. However, while the symbolism was crucial to Qin Shi Huang, the practical needs of the wall were just as pressing. His empire, having unified the fractured warring states, was still vulnerable, particularly from the nomadic tribes to the north. The Xiongnu, whose raids had long ravaged the northern reaches of China, were a constant threat to the empire's stability. Though the Qin dynasty had managed to secure victory over the other warring states, the northern frontier remained an area of insecurity. The desire to protect the newly unified China from these external threats was paramount. Prior to the Qin dynasty, various states had built smaller walls or fortifications along their borders, but these structures were disjointed and insufficient for defending against a sustained invasion. The emperor's strategy was not limited to merely keeping invaders at bay. It was also about asserting control over trade routes and migration. The construction of the Great Wall was an effort of immense scale. The materials used in its construction were as varied as the terrain it crossed. The labor required for such a feat was staggering. The construction of the wall was as much about creating a physical barrier as it was about instilling a sense of security. Qin Shi Huang's unification of China and the construction of the Great Wall were not just military achievements, they were psychological victories. However, as with many grand projects, the human cost was immense. The wall, for all its grandeur and strength, was also a reminder of the cost of imperial ambition. As we move to the next segment, we will explore the enduring legacy of the Great Wall, how it has withstood the test of time, the mysteries surrounding its construction, and the lasting impact it had on the history of China and the world. While Qin Shi Huang's reign is often lauded for its transformative accomplishment, including the unification of China and the creation of the Great Wall, his methods of governance were far from benevolent. In a fragmented China, where the warring states had been constantly vying for dominance, Qin Shi Huang believed that only a single, unified power could bring true stability. His goal was to ensure that no rival faction could ever challenge his rule again. His autocratic rule silenced any challenge to his power and made certain that any rival voices, be they political, intellectual, or cultural, would be suppressed. However, such control came at a high cost. The very fabric of society became constrained by the emperor's rigid demands. Hundreds of scholars who resisted the emperor's rule were executed, and countless works of history, philosophy, and culture were burned. This was not merely an act of destruction, it was an attempt to erase any memory of the past and create a new, singular narrative of imperial dominance. The loss of these texts, many of which contained the wisdom of ancient China, remains a cultural tragedy that resonates to this day. His legacy is a complicated one marked by visionary feats, but also by extreme measures that led to significant suffering and loss. The resources that could have been used to improve the lives of his citizens were diverted into these costly and extravagant projects. The construction of the wall required an immense amount of labor, and it was built by soldiers, peasants, and prisoners who were conscripted to do the work. But for those who labored to build it, the wall was a tomb in itself, a reminder of how their lives were expendable in the pursuit of imperial grandeur. Many workers were not only exhausted by the work, but were treated with cruelty and forced to endure harsh punishments for the smallest mistakes. On the one hand, his efforts to unify China laid the foundation for the great empire that would endure for centuries. The construction of the Great Wall, the development of infrastructure, and the unification of the currency and writing system were all vital steps toward creating a cohesive and powerful state. Their suffering was often hidden from history, but their efforts were crucial in bringing the emperor's vision to life. The emperor's harsh methods of governance, his treatment of intellectuals, and his focus on personal immortality at the cost of his people left a legacy that was, in many ways, a cautionary tale. His reign, while transformative, was also marked by fear, control, and suffering. These laborers faced brutal conditions, working in harsh weather, living in makeshift camps, and enduring extreme physical strain. His obsession with immortality left a vacuum of leadership, and his oppressive rule gave rise to resentment among the people. It took on a life of its own, becoming a symbol of China's strength, resilience, and the complicated history that shaped it. His legacy, while monumental, is not without its dark side, and the Great Wall standing tall, as a testament to his power, also serves as a symbol of the high price that was paid for his ambitions. The vast number of workers who died during the construction of the wall, from exhaustion, disease, or accidents, reflects the high human cost of the emperor's plans. The emperor's insistence on achieving eternal life through both material wealth and grandeur monuments led to needless waste, and it is believed that these extravagant endeavors may have contributed to the eventual collapse of the Qin dynasty after his death. The wall stands today as a testament to the emperor's ambition, but it is also a reminder of the lives lost in its creation. It is both a monument to imperial might and a silent graveyard for the countless souls who died in its construction. Ideas that had flourished under previous dynasties were forcibly suppressed, and the loss of so much intellectual capital left China with a limited framework for governance and philosophy. Consumed by the fear of death, he sought ways to prolong his life and secure his place in history forever. His quest for eternal life led him to make irrational decisions, some of which would drain the empire's resources and lead to needless suffering. The emperor's belief that such extreme measures were necessary to preserve his vision of unity demonstrates how his pursuit of control ultimately harmed the society he sought to unify. His fascination with immortality didn't just stop with this search, it extended to his own elaborate tomb, one of the most famous burial sites in history. The Terracotta Army, which was built to accompany him in the afterlife, was a monumental and costly project, involving the labor of thousands of artisans and workers. This extravagant tomb, complete with its life-sized warriors, horses, and chariots, was intended to ensure that Qin Shi Huang's power and legacy would continue after his death. The emperor's quest for absolute control, personal immortality, and the desire to impose an unyielding rule created a regime that was both remarkable and oppressive. From the moment Qin Shi Huang ascended to the throne, he pursued a singular vision: the complete centralization of power. This ambition led him to institute sweeping reforms across China, consolidating power in a way that left no room for opposition. In his relentless quest for control, the emperor saw intellectual dissent as a direct threat to his authority. As part of his broader attempt to consolidate power, he ordered the burning of books that contradicted his ideals, particularly those that espoused philosophies of Confucianism, which were seen as challenges to his centralizing, legalist policy. The state was built on a foundation of rigid law and order, dictated by the emperor's will. By implementing legalism, which emphasized harsh punishment and absolute authority, Qin Shi Huang sought to eliminate dissent and opposition. He did not just seek to control the land, he sought to control the very thoughts and behaviors of his people. The emperor's reach extended into every corner of life, from the standardization of the currency and weights and measures to the centralization of military and political control, censorship and intellectual suppression, the burning of books and execution. Perhaps one of the most notorious aspects of Qin Shi Huang's rule was his campaign to suppress intellectual freedom. This event, known as the burning of the books and burying of the scholars, is one of the darkest chapters of Qin Shi Huang's reign. The silencing of intellectual thought under Qin Shi Huang's rule significantly hindered the cultural and philosophical development of the empire. Beyond his autocratic rule, another central facet of Qin Shi Huang's reign was his obsessive pursuit of immortality. The emperor sent expeditions in search of the mythical elixir of immortality, sending people across dangerous seas and inhospitable lands. However, the emperor's obsession with immortality left a bitter legacy for his people. The creation of the Great Wall itself serves as a poignant symbol of Qin Shi Huang's grand vision, but it also epitomizes the cost of his ruthless ambition. For Qin Shi Huang, the wall was more than a defense against northern invasions. It was a symbol of his power, a visible representation of his authority stretching across the land. The laborers who built the Great Wall were often forgotten in the annals of history, their sacrifices eclipsed by the grandeur of the wall itself. Qin Shi Huang's legacy is one that continues to provoke debate among historians. On the other hand, his authoritarian rule, censorship, and brutal repression cast a dark shadow over his achievements. In the end, Qin Shi Huang's death marked the end of the Qin dynasty, and the empire he built soon fell into turmoil. As we move forward, we will explore how the Great Wall, despite its initial purpose as a defense against invaders, despite the great triumphs of Qin Shi Huang's reign, the empire he built did not outlast him. His death in 210 BCE sent shockwaves through the Qin dynasty, unraveling much of the careful system he had established. The Great Wall, however, survived beyond Qin's rule, standing as a testament to the emperor's vision and ambitions. Though the dynasty that built the wall collapsed only a few years after his death, the wall remained as a monument to both the vision of a unified empire and the human cost that came with its construction. When Qin Shi Huang died, the power vacuum left by his absence led to widespread chaos. This iteration of the wall, which still stands today in many parts of China, was designed not only to prevent invasions, but to protect the empire's trade routes and internal stability. The Ming took advantage of advanced engineering techniques, adding watchtowers and fortified garrisons along the wall. The most notable sections of the Great Wall that tourists visit today are those built during this period, including the famous stretches near Beijing. For centuries, the Great Wall has been more than just a military structure. It has been a reflection of China's belief in the protection of its culture and people. It is one of the 7 wonders of the world and attracts millions of visitors from across the globe every year. Yet, despite its status as a global tourist attraction, it still carries the heavy weight of its past, its construction, its meaning, and the human suffering that was required to bring it into existence. The wall speaks to the Chinese belief in unity, the need to protect the homeland from external influences. It is a testament to the vision of a ruler who sought to ensure that his empire would be protected, to the sacrifices of those who built it, and to the enduring power of human will. It is a reminder that great works, no matter how magnificent, come with a cost, and that the power to shape history often lies in the hands of those who labor in the shadows, their efforts forgotten, yet eternally embedded in the very fabric of the world, and the ability to withstand both external and internal forces that may threaten its survival. It remains one of the most enduring legacies of human perseverance, a monument to the past that still echoes in the present. The construction methods used by the Ming included the use of brick and stone, materials that could withstand both the forces of nature and the pressure of enemy attacks. We can imagine the laborers who toiled day in and day out, their hands rough from the stones, their bodies weary from endless toil. We can picture the emperors, including Qin Shi Huang, whose vision shaped the destiny of an entire nation, whose will to create something lasting was both visionary and flawed. The harsh, authoritarian rule that had characterized his reign faltered under the weight of internal rebellion and dissatisfaction. It speaks to the enduring strength of a civilization that has withstood centuries of internal and external pressures, built by generations of laborers under harsh conditions. The wall's story reflects the resilience and determination of the people who constructed it. The labor, the sweat, and the lives lost in the making of the wall are as much a part of its history as the stones that form it. Though the empire that once sought to create this barrier is long gone, the wall remains, standing as a monument to both the ambition and the frailty of empire. The wall, while formidable, could not protect the empire forever. The Mongols eventually breached the wall, and over time, the dynasty's power waned, leading to its eventual fall in the 17th century. Yet, despite these setbacks, the Great Wall stood as a symbol of imperial ambition and strength. By 206 BCE, the Qin dynasty had crumbled, and China fell into the hands of the Han dynasty. The wall stands as a reminder of the lengths to which rulers would go to protect their empires from external threats. It is a monument to the grandeur and the excesses of imperial China, as well as a symbol of the sacrifices made by those who built it, often without recognition or reward. Several hundred years after Qin Shi Huang's death, the Ming dynasty came to power and made significant efforts to repair and extend the Great Wall. Thousands of workers, many of whom were conscripted soldiers, criminals, and prisoners, died during its construction. Their stories remain largely forgotten, but their efforts continue to be honored by the wall that stands as one of the greatest architectural feats in human history. This was a time of renewed conflict with the northern tribes, particularly the Mongols, who had wreaked havoc on China's northern borders during earlier periods. The Ming saw the wall not just as a military defense, but as a symbol of China's greatness and resilience. But throughout this political upheaval, the Great Wall endured. Despite the fall of the Qin dynasty, the Great Wall's purpose remained intact. While it was built as a defense against the northern nomadic tribes, primarily the Xiongnu, its significance grew beyond the realm of military strategy. It became a symbol of China's strength, unity, and resilience. Its original purpose as a barrier against invaders persisted, but its meaning evolved. As the centuries passed, it was seen as a reminder of the Qin dynasty's attempt at total control, of their ambitions for unity and permanence, and of the sacrifices of the thousands of laborers who built it. Though the Qin dynasty fell, the vision of a unified China, defended by an impenetrable barrier, persisted. Under the Ming rulers, the wall was expanded and reinforced with new techniques. However, as the Ming dynasty's reign wore on, the same challenges Qin Shi Huang faced began to surface again. In the centuries following its construction, the Great Wall of China became more than just a defensive structure. It became a symbol of the ancient civilization, endurance, and ability to overcome adversity. The Great Wall remains a physical manifestation of the ancient Chinese Empire's vision, a monument not just to Qin Shi Huang's ambition, but to the human effort that made that ambition a reality. The wall is also a symbol of the deep-rooted cultural importance of defense and the idea of borders in Chinese culture. In the modern world, the Great Wall has become one of the most recognizable symbols of China's long and complex history. The wall today stands not only as a reminder of China's ancient history, but also as a symbol of China's growth as a modern power. In many ways, the Great Wall is the embodiment of what it means to endure. As we come to the end of our journey through the history of the Great Wall, we are left with a profound sense of the immense human effort that went into its creation. The Great Wall is not simply an architectural feat. The Great Wall of China stands as a symbol not just of strength, but of the enduring struggle between ambition and reality. When we think of the Great Wall of China, we often imagine its grandeur, winding structure that stretches across the northern frontier of China, its walls rising majestically above the landscapes of mountains, deserts, and plains. The Great Wall, in its current form, is an enduring symbol of strength, perseverance, and the vision of an emperor who sought to protect his realm. Yet, beneath its towering presence lies a story far more complex and enigmatic than we could ever fully comprehend. Its earliest sections, constructed during the Qin dynasty under Emperor Qin Shi Huang, were made of mud, wood, and other simple materials. These early fortifications were built to defend the empire from northern invaders, particularly the Xiongnu tribes. How much of the construction was completed by laborers, soldiers, and prisoners, who often worked under grueling conditions with little regard for their own lives. But it also serves as a reminder of the human cost that accompanied its creation. The wall is not just a physical structure, but a symbol of a period of history that is rich with questions, half-told stories, and fragments of truth. What we see today is only part of the whole story, and as modern technology continues to unearth hidden sections of the wall, we can only wonder what other secrets lie buried, waiting to be discovered. Many of the workers who toiled day and night on the wall never saw its completion, their lives claimed by exhaustion, illness, or accidents. Their contributions remain largely forgotten, yet their efforts are embedded in every brick, stone, and section of the wall that remains standing. The Great Wall, in many ways, is as much a memorial to their lives as it is a triumph of imperial ambition. What methods did they use to transport massive stones and materials across treacherous terrain? How did ancient engineers plan such a sprawling, complex structure without the advanced technology that we have today? The wall is more than just a relic of the past. It is a living testament to the ever-evolving relationship between mankind and the natural world. Between the ambitions of emperors and the sweat of their people, what remains, both above ground and below, continues to inspire awe and curiosity. And with each new discovery, we come closer to understanding the full scope of this ancient wonder. These questions are only a few of the many that remain unanswered, and they invite us to look deeper into the true story of the Great Wall. Story not only of monumental engineering and military defense, but of human effort, struggle, and sacrifice. However, as the centuries passed, the wall evolved from a collection of disconnected walls and barriers into a more unified and formidable structure, made of bricks and stone. Different dynasties, the Han, the Sui, the Tang, and the Ming, expanded upon, rebuilt, and reinforced sections of the wall. These dynasties adapted the design to fit the changing threats they faced and the technological advances available at the time. The construction of the Great Wall was not a singular event, but rather a continuous process that spanned several dynasties and centuries. What we see today is only a fraction of what was once built, and what remains visible is just a portion of the larger network of fortifications that spanned across China's vast northern frontier. The wall was constantly evolving, repaired, rebuilt, and extended by each successive ruler who recognized its military and symbolic importance. While the wall, in its entirety, stretches across thousands of miles, many of its sections are now lost to time, nature, and human interference. The complexity of the wall's story begins with its origins. Despite the continuous work on the wall, much of its construction remains a mystery. Parts of it, once crucial to its function, are now lost or hidden. Some sections were simply abandoned, left to crumble under the pressure of time and the elements. Others, particularly those built from earth, were eroded by the forces of nature or the movement of people across the land. Much of the wall now lies buried beneath the sands of the Gobi Desert, or tucked away in the dense forests of northern China. forgotten by all but those who seek to uncover its secrets. Even as archaeologists and historians continue to study and preserve the existing portions, vast swaths of the wall remain largely unexplored. And then, there are the mysteries that surround the wall itself. The Great Wall's significance extends beyond its military purpose. It symbolizes the strength and resolve of the Chinese people. But perhaps the greatest mystery surrounding the wall is the one that has yet to be fully unraveled: the true extent of its construction, the parts that have been lost to time, and the untold stories of those who built it. As we embark on this journey to explore the mysteries of the Great Wall, we will uncover its hidden sections, its forgotten laborers, and the unsolved riddles of its construction. The Great Wall of China, in all its grandeur, holds many secrets. While portions of it stand proudly across the terrain of northern China, a substantial part of its history lies hidden beneath layers of time, erosion, and even the passage of human intervention. Built across diverse landscapes from arid deserts to towering mountains, some sections of the wall were designed to blend into the environment, adapting to the region's challenges. However, as time passed, nature reclaimed many of these once imposing fortifications, and entire sections were lost or erased from historical records. This strategic location once marked the end of the wall and acted as a major military gateway between the eastern plains of China and the vast, untamed desert regions to the west. Nature has slowly crept over these forgotten fortifications, enveloping them in a cloak of green. In many places, these sections are so well camouflaged that only the most dedicated explorers have a chance of finding them. The Great Wall is more than just a physical structure. It represents the effort of an entire civilization, generations of rulers, soldiers, whether through wars, invasions, or the simple erosion of time. Many parts of the wall were either hidden deliberately or were forgotten over time. Archaeologists and historians continue to search for these lost sections, hoping that new technology and research techniques will reveal more about the wall's past and the people who built it. Some may lie beneath the concrete streets of modern Chinese cities, while others might be tucked away in the folds of the mountains, undisturbed for centuries. And laborers who poured their energy, resources, and even their lives into building what was once considered an impenetrable barrier. The sections of the wall that have been lost in nature, conflict, and neglect serve as silent testaments to that labor. They also tell a story about the fragility of human endeavor, how time erodes even the grandest achievements. Yet these areas hold valuable information about the various phases of the wall's construction. The materials used in these sections may differ. Compacted earth in another boot, each remnant holds clues to the building techniques and laborers that worked tirelessly to construct these formidable walls. For years, archaeologists and researchers have been slowly uncovering these lost sections, sifting through centuries-old brush and dirt to uncover artifacts and evidence of the people who once built and defended them. While the wall itself is a symbol of China's past power and unity, the missing pieces remind us that history is never as simple as the structures we leave behind. There are stories yet to be told, and in the lost remnants of the wall, we find the echoes of those who built it, voices that continue to resonate through time, waiting to be heard once more. Although Zhuguan remains one of the most important and visible sections of the wall, much of it has been left in ruins, and portions have crumbled or been buried by the passage of time. The area is part of the Gansu province, and though it is one of the most archaeologically rich regions in China, some parts of the wall in this area are still not fully explored. While tourists visit the pass, their journey reveals only a small part of what was once a sprawling defensive network. Archaeological teams continue to dig, discovering forgotten stones, inscriptions, and ancient markers, which suggest the presence of additional sections of the wall that might have once stretched across even more remote regions. The wall was never a singular structure but a series of defensive systems, constructed and rebuilt by various dynasties over many centuries. As each ruler took control, they reshaped and expanded the wall to fit their own needs, leaving behind sections that did not always align with the grand design. Historians know of its existence from ancient records and sketches, but no physical traces have been found, and many assume it has been completely lost to time. The lost wall section is theorized to have extended into the Inner Mongolia region, far from the more well-known sections that tourists and researchers visit today. If uncovered, it could provide invaluable insight into the methods of construction and materials used during Qin Shi Huang's time. The landscape here, dry and unforgiving, shifts constantly under the wind's influence. The sand dunes, relentless and sweeping, swallow parts of the wall whole, leaving nothing but the faintest traces. Archaeologists often search for remnants in these places, but the climate makes unearthing a challenge, and many sections are lost to the desert's ever-changing topography. Yet, despite these challenges, there is always hope that new discoveries await beneath the sands. Occasionally, ancient fragments are uncovered, and with them come more questions about the wall's original design and construction method. Each new find, whether a simple stone or a fragment of an inscription, offers a deeper understanding of the wall as past and the human endeavor behind its creation. With changing priorities and evolving military tactics, some sections were abandoned, while others simply fell into disrepair. Still, the wall's sheer scale makes it difficult to pinpoint precisely what's been lost, and what may remain hidden, as it stretches over such a vast and varied landscape. In the distant, windswept expanses of the Gobi Desert, whole sections of the wall have disappeared into the sands. The Jiuyuguan Pass, located at the westernmost tip of the wall, is one of the most well-known sections. In the dense forests and rugged hills of northern China, other sections of the wall lie hidden beneath layers of moss. One particularly intriguing mystery lies in the so-called Lost Wall, a section that is believed to have been constructed during the early stages of the Qin dynasty. The sections of the wall lost to time aren't merely remnants of stone and brick. They are powerful symbols of what has been forgotten. In addition to these lost sections, there are also countless others whose locations are only hinted at in ancient records, stories, and myths. Each of these lost sections, each fragment of stone or ancient inscription, is part of a much larger puzzle that, if fully solved, could provide a more complete picture of the wall's construction and its cultural significance. The mystery of the lost sections of the Great Wall invites both awe and reflection. The Great Wall, as it is most famously known today, is primarily a product of the Ming dynasty, stretching over 13,000 miles. This version of the wall was not the work of a single ruler or a single dynasty, but a continuous effort spanning over a century. The Ming dynasty made the most extensive and recognizable modifications to the wall, transforming it into the iconic structure that continues to awe visitors today. Yet, beneath the majestic stone walls and watchtowers that stand today, remnants of earlier constructions built by the Qin and Han dynasties still linger beneath the surface, like echoes from the past. Under the Ming emperors, the Great Wall was expanded, reinforced, and given a level of sophistication that had never been achieved before. These towers not only provided an elevated view of the surrounding terrain, but also served as communication hubs, allowing soldiers to relay messages quickly along the wall. The use of signal fires at night and smoke signals during the day enabled the military to send warnings, or call for reinforcements in case of an attack. These watchtowers and fortresses were strategically placed, taking advantage of the natural terrain to create a highly effective early warning system. In areas where steep mountains or difficult terrain made construction difficult, the wall was often built into the natural landscape, following the contours of the hills and mountains. In the plains and deserts, the wall was constructed with a flat, unobstructed design that allowed soldiers to move freely and quickly along its expanse. This version, made primarily of rammed earth and wood, served to protect the newly unified empire from the northern nomads. These sections, although not as grand as the Ming Wall, were essential in protecting the flow of goods and information between China and the Western world. Some of the oldest sections of the wall are located in the western regions, where the harsh terrain and weather conditions have preserved them the longest. Excavations in these areas have uncovered ancient foundations, walls made of rammed earth, and remnants of watchtowers that once served as communication points for soldiers stationed along the frontier. The materials used during the Han period were a combination of stone, brick, and rammed earth, depending on the region. While the walls and fortifications built by earlier dynasties have crumbled over time, the Ming Wall remains one of the most enduring symbols of China's history, standing as a monument to the ingenuity, determination, and spirit of the Chinese people. Archaeological findings, including ancient inscriptions, pottery, and weapons, also shed light on the people who built and defended the wall, providing insight into their daily lives, struggles, and achievements, and the extraordinary lengths to which rulers will go to ensure their legacies endure for future generations. The Great Wall of China remains one of the most remarkable and enduring achievements in human history, a symbol of both the power and fragility of empires. While the Qin Wall was far less durable than the Ming Wall, its strategic placement helped lay the foundation for future construction effort. The Ming dynasty is aware of the frequent incursions from the northern nomads. Most notably, the Mongols recognized the wall as an essential defense. It is important to acknowledge that earlier efforts by the Qin and Han dynasties laid the groundwork for the more robust defense system established by the Ming. In fact, much of what we see today is built upon the remnants of earlier walls constructed by the Qin and Han dynasties. The emperor's military forces were stationed at key points along the wall, ready to defend against any incursions from the north. The sections of the wall built during this period were not only an engineering triumph, but also a symbol of the power and vision of the Ming rulers. Today, these sections stand as one of the most recognizable landmarks in the world, attracting millions of visitors each year. The wall's grandeur is a testament to the ambition of an emperor who sought to protect his empire from invaders and secure his legacy for centuries to come. The defensive capabilities were further reinforced by the introduction of more sophisticated military technologies, such as gunpowder-based weapons like cannons and fire arrows. The materials used, the structural engineering, and the defensive strategies implemented were all enhanced during this time. The wall's width varied, but it was typically wide enough for soldiers to stand shoulder to shoulder and march along its length. In some areas, the wall was as wide as 25 feet, creating an imposing presence that could not easily be crossed by invaders. The height of the wall also varied by region, but in many places, it reached upwards of 30 feet. The additional watchtowers and fortifications gave the wall an even more commanding presence. In the eastern sections of the wall, sturdy stone bricks were used to fortify the walls, creating a formidable and durable barrier. These bricks, shaped and fitted with precision, formed the backbone of the Ming wall, providing an enduring strength that would stand the test of time. In contrast, the western sections of the wall, often more isolated and less populated, retained the use of rammed earth. This technique, though less durable than stone, was sufficient for the remote desert areas where stone was less accessible. The Mongols had long posed a threat to China's northern frontier, and after the Mongol-Yuan dynasty was overthrown, the Ming emperors were determined not to let history repeat itself. The Ming rulers were ambitious in their approach to strengthening the wall, and their efforts led to the construction of the most enduring and impressive sections of the wall that stand today. One of the most significant aspects of the Ming wall is its stone construction, which replaced earlier methods of rammed earth or wood. The Ming also expanded the use of watchtowers and beacon towers, key defensive structures that dotted the wall at regular intervals. Additionally, the Ming rulers made sure that the wall was well guarded with a vast army. Architecturally, the Ming wall was a marvel of its time. The wall's construction also took into account the natural environment. While the Ming dynasty is credited with the majority of the wall's most visible sections, the Qin dynasty, under the rule of Qin Shi Huang, constructed the first major iteration of the wall. Similarly, the Han dynasty expanded and reinforced the wall, focusing more on its western sections to protect trade routes like the Silk Road. As archaeologists continued to study the Great Wall, they have discovered many relics and remnants of the earlier Qin and Han construction. These discoveries are crucial in piecing together the story of the Great Wall, helping us understand its evolution from a series of fragmented walls into the unified structure we see today. The Ming dynasty's construction of the Great Wall left a lasting legacy. However, the Ming Wall's legacy goes beyond just its construction. The wall symbolizes China's enduring strength and resilience. Though the wall no longer serves its original military purpose, it continues to serve as a reminder of the human endeavor required to protect a nation. The Great Wall of China, stretching across the vast and varied landscapes of northern China, has been the subject of continuous archaeological study for many years. Beneath its towering stone walls and through the weathered terrain, archaeologists have been uncovering not just remnants of a physical structure, but a deep and rich history, filled with stories of the laborers, soldiers, and rulers who contributed to its creation and maintenance. Every excavation brings with it new discoveries, revealing artifacts and clues that shed light on the people who worked tirelessly to build and protect this monumental structure. Artifacts found along the Great Wall tell us more than just the story of its construction. They provide us with glimpses into the daily lives of the soldiers who guarded while the laborers who built it and the people who lived near its mighty ramparts. Many of these objects are simple, mundane items: pottery shards, broken tools, worn coins, fragments of weapons, but each piece offers a unique insight into life at the wall. Consider the discovery of ceramic parts or the remnants of metal tools, which speak to the practicalities of daily life at the wall. Soldiers stationed along the wall would have used these pots to cook food, and the broken shards scattered across the ground reflect the passage of time. Some of the pottery, with its intricate patterns and designs, reveals an artistic side to the soldiers' lives. Though stationed in isolated locations, these individuals still manage to bring a piece of culture with them, whether in the form of decorative pottery or simple pleasures like a game of dice. What truly brings these archaeological finds to life, however, are the personal artifacts that tell the stories of the people who lived there. Inscriptions etched into stone or clay might bear the names of soldiers who served at particular sections of the wall, connecting us with individuals from long ago. Small personal items, coins, buttons, combs are sometimes uncovered, offering a rare glimpse into the intimate lives of these people. Imagine the wonder of finding a small bronze buckle, carefully worn and used during the long, arduous shifts on the wall, or a soldier's personal dagger, once held in the heat of battle, now buried and forgotten. Perhaps most striking of all are the items that seem to reflect the simple yet profound human desires for connection. A small, hand-carved figurine of a woman found in a remote watchtower might have been a gift, a token to remind a soldier of loved ones back home. These finds remind us that even in the harshest of conditions, there was space for personal hope, love, and remembrance. Each discovery becomes a voice from the past, echoing the human experience of life along the wall, from moments of loneliness to fleeting comforts. Beyond the personal artifacts, perhaps the most significant discoveries are those related to the military presence that protected the wall. Archaeologists have uncovered remnants of military outposts and watchtowers where soldiers lived in relative isolation, tasked with guarding the wall against invaders. These outposts, often located in remote and rugged terrain, were strategically placed to monitor the vast stretches of the wall and ensure that no section was left vulnerable. Here, archaeologists have uncovered various military artifacts, old weapons, tools for maintenance, and remnants of everyday items used by the soldiers. These discoveries help us understand the routines and hardships of the soldiers who spent months, sometimes years, on the wall. For instance, broken weapons, rusted spears, and battered shields speak to the constant threat of battle, while the discovery of old coins and personal belongings gives insight into how soldiers lived in these isolated posts. One particularly striking find was the discovery of a bronze bell in a military outpost along the wall, likely used for signaling. The bell could have been used to call soldiers to attention or to mark the passing of time as soldiers rotated through their duties. The sound of that bell would have resonated across the quiet and barren landscapes, a symbol of the soldiers' vigilance. These bells also served as practical tools to maintain order, signaling the start and end of shifts or the approach of an enemy. The bell's discovery raises interesting questions about how these military posts functioned as hubs of communication. Did the bells ring out when an enemy was spotted on the horizon? Did they ring to announce a successful patrol? And perhaps, most poignantly, what thoughts and feelings filled the hearts of the soldiers who heard the bell toll? While many of these archaeological discoveries have offered significant insights into life at the wall, it is important to remember that much of the wall's history remains hidden. Several sections of the Great Wall, especially in the western regions, have been lost to time, buried by shifting sands, eroded by wind and rain, or destroyed by human activity. These areas remain largely unexplored, and the secrets they hold are still waiting to be discovered. In some regions, the wall once stretched across vast deserts and mountain ranges, but the erosion of the landscape and centuries of neglect have caused much of it to fade into history. What stories might these forgotten sections tell? Archaeologists continue to search for new sections of the wall, and with each excavation, they hope to uncover remnants of the ancient fortifications, materials, and artifacts that will add another layer to our understanding of the wall's construction and its significance. The mystery of these lost sections continues to capture the imagination of historians and archaeologists alike. Perhaps one day, these hidden parts of the wall will be offering new insights into the people who built it and the empire it was meant to protect. Ultimately, the archaeological discoveries surrounding the Great Wall of China offer us a window into a past that is both distant and ever-present. The wall itself, an imposing and remarkable feat of engineering, is not just a symbol of imperial power, but a testament to the resilience and determination of the people who constructed it. From the tools they used to the coins they carried, the remnants of their lives reveal a narrative of struggle, survival, and ambition. The Great Wall continues to stand as a monument not only to the Emperor Qin Shi Huang's vision, but also to the countless laborers, soldiers, and workers who poured their sweat and lives into its creation. Their stories may be buried beneath the stones, but thanks to ongoing archaeological work, their voices are slowly being uncovered. The Great Wall of China, with its sprawling lengths and towering presence, is often seen purely as a physical structure and ancient military defense designed to protect the empire from invaders. However, its significance runs much deeper than mere bricks and mortar. The wall was, and still is, a symbol of China's resilience, unity, and the divine authority of the emperor. More than just a physical barrier, the Great Wall held spiritual and cultural meaning, serving as a shield not only from external threats, but also from the chaos and uncertainty of the world beyond. For the laborers who constructed it, the soldiers who manned its watchtowers, and the emperor who commissioned its building, the wall was not simply a functional defense mechanism, it was a symbol of protection, not just of the physical realm, but of the spiritual one as well. Imagine yourself as a worker toiling on the wall, feeling the weight of each stone, not just as a task, but as a part of something greater. Each stone laid, each tower constructed, was not merely a contribution to a fortress but a gesture of ensuring safety, stability, and a future for generations to come. As much as the wall served to keep invaders out, it was equally seen as a barrier against misfortune, disorder, and chaos. The act of constructing such an immense and continuous structure might have been viewed as a sacred mission to uphold the emperor's mandate and to safeguard the harmony of the universe. The wall acted as a boundary between the civilized world, represented by the Chinese Empire, and the barbaric forces from the north, represented by the nomadic tribes who frequently threatened China's stability. In the ancient mindset, the physical wall was linked with spiritual protection. By reinforcing the boundaries of the empire, the emperor was also reinforcing the strength of the divine order that governed life. Just as the emperor was seen as the son of heaven, the wall too became a manifestation of that heavenly authority, a force that kept evil forces at bay, ensuring the cosmic balance was maintained. In a time when rulers were believed to have been appointed by the gods themselves, the Great Wall was not just a structure of military might, it was a divine tool. The emperor, who viewed himself as the celestial mediator between heaven and earth, was tasked with maintaining the empire's stability, not only through governance but through ensuring that the physical and spiritual realms were protected. For Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, the construction of the wall was more than a political or military act, it was a manifestation of his divine right to rule. It was a clear reflection of his desire to solidify his empire's strength and, in his mind, to fulfill a sacred duty bestowed upon him by the heavens. The very act of unifying China under his rule and constructing such a monumental defense was symbolic of his authority as the Son of Heaven, a title which held both divine and earthly weight. As the emperor's will was believed to reflect the will of the gods, the wall itself came to be viewed as a manifestation of divine protection. The wall was seen as a shield, not just against human invaders, but also against the chaos that threatened to undo the harmony of the empire. It became an anchor, securing the empire against all forces, whether they be physical, moral, or supernatural, that might destabilize the nation. Alongside its physical construction, the wall also carried spiritual significance in the form of rituals and beliefs. Workers, soldiers, and those living near the wall would have participated in various religious practices, seeking the favor of the gods to protect them during construction and guard the wall's effectiveness. Offerings to gods and spirits were common, with workers leaving small tokens, or sacrifices to appease deities of the land and protect the integrity of their efforts. Imagine the laborers at dusk, as the sun began to set over the mountains, pausing for a moment of quiet reverence. A simple prayer, a prayer to the earth god to ensure the stability of the wall, or a whispered word to the spirit of the mountain for safety and strength. These small acts of devotion intertwined with the immense tasks they were undertaking, lending the wall a deeper, almost sacred meaning. Rituals were not just about physical labor, but about invoking divine protection. Soldiers stationed along the wall likely took part in ceremonies designed to honor the spirits of the land, ensuring that the wall would not only protect them from invaders, but also shield them from any potential supernatural forces. The wall, in this sense, became both a physical and spiritual barrier, standing as a testament to the emperor's divine mission to safeguard the empire and the land itself, beyond its practical purpose as a defense. The Great Wall also symbolized a division between the known and the unknown, the ordered and the chaotic. Ancient Chinese culture was steeped in cosmology, with a strong belief in the balance between the forces of yin and yang, and the wall became a representation of that balance. the forces of chaos and destruction were associated with the northern tribes, who represented the unknown both physically, in their nomadic lifestyle, and spiritually, in their perceived lack of order. In this framework, the wall was more than just a physical construction. It was a cosmic boundary between order and chaos, civilization and barbarism. The wall's unbroken length, stretching across China's northern frontier, stood as a symbol of unity, strength, and spiritual harmony. As long as the wall stood firm, it was believed that the empire, and all that it represented, would remain secure and intact. In this way, the Great Wall was a manifestation of the Emperor's will to maintain the harmony of the world, an enduring symbol of the power of centralized rule and divine right. The wall represented not only the physical defense of the empire, but also the eternal protection of the spiritual and cosmic order, ensuring that the empire remained secure in both earthly and celestial terms. For the emperor, the construction of the Great Wall was, in many ways, a divine undertaking. It was not just about military strategy or territorial defense, but about fulfilling a higher calling. Qin Shi Huang, in his unyielding desire to protect and unite China, saw the wall as a reflection of his divine mission, a mission that transcended human ambition and reached toward the heavens. The workers, too, though subjected to harsh conditions, were involved in a sacred duty. Their efforts, while grueling and often thankless, were seen as part of a larger, divine plan. In the grand narrative of Chinese history, their labor on the Great Wall was not just an act of physical construction, it was an act of devotion, a testament to their belief in the emperor's mission to secure the empire and protect the future of their people. In conclusion, the Great Wall was much more than a physical barrier. It was a sacred symbol, a reflection of the emperor's divine authority, and a barrier that separated the forces of order from those of chaos. The wall represented the power of the emperor, the unity of the empire, and the protective will of the gods, serving as both a physical and spiritual shield against the forces that threatened the stability and harmony of ancient China. The Great Wall of China, with its immense and seemingly unending length, was more than just a defensive structure. It stood as a symbol of the emperor's power, of unity, and of protection. However, in ancient China, this grand construction also carried significant spiritual weight. Alongside the physical labor, there were a number of rituals and ceremonies performed to honor the deities and spirits believed to reside within the land, especially in the more remote regions of the wall. Soldiers, workers, and even local villagers believed that the success of the Great Wall's construction and its ability to protect the empire depended not only on the labor and strategy of humankind, but also on appeasing the forces of nature and the divine. Imagine yourself as a soldier stationed along the wall, standing watch in a remote outpost. The sun is setting, casting an orange glow over the jagged mountain peaks, and the chill of evening is beginning to settle in. As the duties of the day are completed, you gather with your comrades to participate in a ritual. The scent of incense wafts gently through the air, the smoke curling up toward the heavens, mingling with the whispering winds. The flickering light of a nearby lantern casts shadows over the rough-hewn stone walls, and the soft murmur of prayers begins to rise as you and the other soldiers prepare for the night shift. You offer your thanks to the gods of protection, invoking the spirits of the land for their favor. You whisper words of respect to the mountain gods, asking for their protection during the dark hours ahead. The silence of the night seems heavy with the weight of your words, the ritual a momentary comfort in the midst of such isolation. This practice wasn't simply a token gesture, it was an essential act, a plea for safety and success, a desire to ensure that no harm would come from either human invaders or the more intangible threats that might arise from the spirits inhabiting the land. These rituals were integral to daily life along the wall. The soldiers, many of whom were stationed in isolated or remote locations, turned to the gods for support during their long shifts, whether facing harsh winters in the mountains or the sweltering heat of the desert. Soldiers depended on these ceremonies to help them feel secure and connected to the greater purpose of the wall. It was believed that neglecting these rituals could invite bad luck, misfortune, and even disaster. The construction of the Great Wall was influenced not only by military strategy, but also by traditional Chinese beliefs in feng shui, the ancient practice of harmonizing human structures with the natural world. Feng shui was a critical aspect of Chinese architectural philosophy based on the idea that the arrangement of space and buildings could influence the flow of energy, and that the landscape itself had an inherent spiritual energy that needed to be respected. The wall-s builders would have worked closely with feng shui masters to ensure that the wall-s placement didn't disturb the natural harmony of the landscape. There were specific beliefs regarding how the wall should be aligned to avoid disrupting the flow of energy, especially in regions considered to have powerful spiritual significance, like the deserts and mountains. The placement of the wall, the positioning of gates and even the materials used, were all done with careful consideration to feng shui principles. Every stone, every piece of brick, and every bend in the wall needed to follow the prescribed paths to ensure that the energy flow was not disturbed. For example, the spiritual guardians of the land mountain spirits, river deities, and the earth gods were believed to wield great influence over the strength of the wall. As construction progressed, sacrifices were made to these gods to ensure their approval. Offerings of food, incense, and even symbolic objects were placed near certain parts of the wall, especially in regions where spirits were thought to reside. These acts of reverence were meant to align the work with the divine will, ensuring that the wall would not become an unwelcome presence that might attract misfortune. In addition to the daily rituals of the soldiers, large-scale ceremonies would have been held at significant points along the walls. When a particular stretch of the wall was completed or when new sections were added, it was traditional to hold elaborate ceremonies to celebrate the accomplishment and to honor the spirits who had helped the workers. These ceremonies involved offerings of food and wine, the lighting of incense, and prayers for protection against future threats. In some cases, the emperor might have sent representatives to preside over these ceremonies, ensuring that the workers felt the full weight of imperial support behind their efforts. The emperor, though distant, was still seen as a direct conduit to the divine realm, and his representatives would invoke the emperor's name as a form of blessing for the wall's continued strength and longevity. The act of consecrating the wall through ceremony was a reaffirmation of its divine mission, not just a boundary against invaders, but a physical embodiment of the emperor's heavenly authority. The wall's cultural and spiritual significance extended beyond its military purpose. To the people living near the wall, it was both a physical and spiritual landmark. It symbolized protection, unity, and a kind of divine favor that reinforced the emperor's authority. Local villagers living near sections of the wall would often take part in these rituals, seeking favor from the spirits of the land and from the emperor. In a time where survival was precarious and threats came from many directions, the wall was a constant reminder that the divine watched over them, offering both protection and warning. In this way, the wall's spiritual significance was deeply embedded in the lives of those who built it, guarded it, and lived in its shadow. For the workers, soldiers, and villagers, it was not just a defense against external invaders. The act of building, maintaining, and protecting the wall became an act of spiritual devotion, intertwined with the rhythms of the land and the heavens. It was a continuous ritual, a symbol of the emperor's will and a reflection of the unity between heaven and earth. Today, as we stand before the Great Wall, its stones, weathered by centuries of time, we are reminded not only of the human effort that went into building it, but also of the spiritual and cultural meaning it carried. The rituals, sacrifices, and ceremonies that accompanied the wall's construction are an integral part of its history, highlighting the deep connection between the physical and spiritual realms in ancient China. The Great Wall was not simply an engineering marvel, it was a cultural and spiritual monument, a reflection of the emperor's divine mandate and a symbol of unity, protection, and continuity for the empire. Even now, centuries later, as we gaze upon its enduring presence, we cannot help but feel the weight of its history, not just as a military defense, but as a spiritual and cultural force that shaped the course of China's destiny. As grand and formidable as the Great Wall is in physicality, its stories, woven with whispers of the supernatural, have added layers of mystery and mysticism to its legacy. Over the centuries, the wall has been the subject of many local myths, legends, and ghost stories, some of which have contributed to its spiritual aura. The physical structure of the wall, solid and unyielding, is only part of the tale. It is the spirits, those who perished during its construction and those believed to still watch over it, that infuse it with an enigmatic presence. In the remote, desolate stretches of the wall, especially in the far-flung corners where few dared to venture, there are tales of restless souls, workers who died under the harsh conditions, often without a proper burial or recognition, are said to haunt the wall. Their souls are said to wander the narrow pathways, silently trudging along, driven by an eternal obligation to guard the wall they helped build. These spirits, victims of the unforgiving labor, are thought to be bound to the wall by the same forces that drove them to build it: duty, ambition, and the oppressive will of the emperor. The ghostly army guarding the wall. One of the most widely told stories is that of a ghostly army soldiers who, despite their mortal demise, continued to guard the wall long after their deaths. The myth suggests that these soldiers were the defenders of the wall, whose souls remained tethered to their posts, unable to rest because their duty was never fully fulfilled. According to the legend, even now, on the cold misty nights when the wind howls through the desert or the mountains, you can hear the faint sounds of footsteps along the wall, the clinking of armor, and the distant calls of sentinels keeping watch. In some versions of the story, it is said that during particularly dark and stormy nights, travelers can encounter these spirits. Some say the ghosts appear as spectral figures in tattered military uniforms, wandering aimlessly along the walls, towers, and battlements. Others claim that the apparitions remain hidden in the shadows, watching over the land, protecting it even from beyond the grave. These tales of soldiers forever stationed at their posts have contributed to the wall's reputation as a living entity, one that is not just a defense against invaders, but also a keeper of secrets and protector of the land, even through the afterlife. The wall as a sacred barrier. The idea of spirits haunting the wall also imbues the structure with a sacred purpose. For the people who live in its shadow, the wall is not only a physical defense, but a spiritual one as well. The stories surrounding it serve as constant reminders that the sacrifices made in its construction, the lives lost, and the labor endured have spiritual weight. It is said that, by honoring these spirits, whether through offerings, prayers, or simple respect, the wall retains its power to protect the empire from threats, both human and supernatural. The presence of these spirits has led to a belief that the wall itself is a living monument, one that can feel the pain of its workers and the weight of its creator's ambition. In some villages near the wall, offerings of incense or small gifts are left near certain sections of the wall in hopes of appeasing the spirits and ensuring their favor. It is a way to acknowledge the sacrifices made and to show respect for the spirits that dwell there. Tales of the wall's protective power. As the wall stretches across different terrains, there are numerous local myths about the role it plays in protecting the land. Some legends tell of spirits of animals, perhaps guardians of nature, who dwell near the wall, ensuring that the forces of nature never cross into human civilization. These spirits, much like the warrior ghosts, are thought to have a duty to keep the land safe from invading forces and harmful energies. The mountains, the forests, and the deserts surrounding the wall are believed to be sacred ground, and only those with respect for these spirits are allowed to pass unharmed. Moreover, there are accounts of invaders who, after attempting to scale the wall, were mysteriously repelled or disoriented by strange forces. Some speak of invisible hands that push back climbers, or a sense of foreboding that stops the would-be invaders in their tracks. These supernatural barriers serve as an additional layer of defense, reinforcing the wall's power not only as a physical structure, but as an entity infused with divine protection. Legends of the wall's eternal watch. The most powerful and enduring myth of all is the belief that the great wall's guardians, whether human or spiritual, will never leave their posts. Long after the construction ceased and the empire crumbled, it is believed that the spirits of the wall's creators continue their eternal vigil. In this narrative, the wall does not simply represent the past. It is a living monument, always watchful, always guarding the empire's legacy. For the people who have lived in the shadow of the Great Wall for centuries, these tales have become part of the cultural fabric of the region. They serve to remind them of the wall's immense significance, not just as a defensive structure, but as a symbol of sacrifice, endurance, and the connection between the physical and spiritual realms. The spirits that linger, the legends that are passed down, ensure that the wall's true meaning will never be forgotten, even as its stones weather and crumble with time. In this way, the Great Wall transcends its architectural and military significance. It becomes a symbol of continuity, of protection, of the living history that still surrounds it. Even in the modern world, as tourists and scholars marvel at its grandeur, the whispers of these legends continue to echo through the stones, reminding all who stand before it of its enduring power and the sacrifices made in its name. The Great Wall of China is not just a monumental physical structure. It is a repository of secrets, some of which have been buried beneath the sands of time. While much of the wall's visible form has been preserved and explored, there remains a vast, untold story hidden within its walls, watchtowers, and the surrounding landscapes. The current state of archaeology along the wall is in its most exciting phase yet. Despite the fact that this marvel of human history has been studied for centuries, New technology and research are revealing unknown sections of the wall that have eluded discovery until now. The remote nature of certain sections, combined with the challenges of harsh terrain such as deserts, mountains, and forests, has meant that large parts of the wall have remained hidden or forgotten. Imagine walking through a thick forest, the sound of your footsteps muted by the overgrowth, when suddenly you uncover an ancient stone, half buried and covered in moss. This is the reality for archaeologists who are working tirelessly to uncover forgotten sections of the wall, slowly piecing together the full extent of its reach. In the present day, technological advancements have brought about a new era in the study of the Great Wall. Satellite imaging and drone surveillance have proven invaluable in mapping out the vast expanse of the wall, even in areas that were previously unreachable or too dangerous to access. These technologies provide archaeologists with precise, bird's-eye views of the wall's layout, allowing them to track its trajectory and identify new sections that may still lie dormant, hidden beneath shifting sand dunes or deep within the folds of the rugged mountain ranges. Amazingly, there are still many unknown sections of the wall that have yet to be fully explored. Some parts may have long been forgotten by history, while others may have been deliberately concealed by the natural elements over time. In the vast deserts of the Northwest, for instance, sandstorms have buried entire stretches of the wall, leaving only fragments exposed to the elements. These sections could reveal crucial new information about the various phases of construction, the materials used, and the regions the wall passed through. With ongoing efforts to map these unseen areas, it's only a matter of time before previously hidden sections emerge into the light of discovery. One of the most promising aspects of modern archaeology is the ability to utilize non-invasive techniques to uncover what lies beneath the surface. Technologies like ground-penetrating radar and LiDAR are being used to study the ground beneath the wall, detecting structures that may have been buried by time. These techniques allow researchers to analyze the composition of the earth and identify hidden foundations, even without digging into the ground. For example, in some areas where the wall is thought to have existed but no remnants are visible, LiDAR has allowed scientists to identify traces of wall foundations that had been buried under centuries of sediment. Similarly, GPR is being used to scan areas where the wall or structure may still be intact beneath the surface, uncovering layers that could otherwise go unnoticed. The use of these technologies is revolutionizing the study of the wall and ensuring that future discoveries continue to shed light on its hidden history. As the boundaries of the Great Wall stretch across diverse terrain, these new tools are revealing not just the physical remnants of the wall itself, but also the pathways that once connected it to different regions. These findings are providing valuable insights into the broader geopolitical landscape of ancient China. For example, new archaeological digs in remote areas are revealing previously unknown military outposts. These discoveries help us better understand the strategic significance of the wall, how it was not just a physical barrier, but a symbol of protection, governance, and the unyielding power of the emperor. Each new discovery brings with it the potential to change the historical understanding of the Great Wall's construction and the civilization that created it. Imagine, in the quiet of an excavation site, an archaeologist carefully brushing away dust from an ancient stone, revealing an inscription carved by hands long gone. These inscriptions are more than just words, they are a window into the minds of the people who built and guarded the wall. Some inscriptions may provide insights into the methods of construction, the names of the builders, or even the military strategies employed by the Qin dynasty. Artifacts discovered along the wall are another crucial piece of the puzzle. Items like broken pottery, ancient weapons, and personal objects offer a glimpse into the lives of the soldiers who once stood guard. One such discovery could be a bronze bell, possibly used to signal between distant sections of the wall. The bell would have sounded across the vast, empty landscape, a sound that marked the passing of time, the change of shifts, or the arrival of an important message. In one particularly fascinating discovery, a collection of old coins and written records found near the wall's watchtowers hinted at the economic activity in the regions that lay beyond the wall. These discoveries paint a picture of a bustling and organized defense system. Traders and workers, all bound together by the empire's ambition. The ongoing exploration of the Great Wall has sparked a renewed interest in its history. Archaeologists, historians, and local guides are working together to piece together the fragments of history that still remain, hoping to answer the many questions that have surrounded the wall for centuries. While much has been discovered, there is still much to uncover. Some sections may still be buried beneath the sands of time, waiting to be revealed by modern tools and techniques. As these new discoveries come to light, they continue to deepen our understanding of the wall's importance, not only as a military and defensive structure, but also as a cultural and spiritual symbol. The wall was not just a physical barrier against invaders, it was a symbol of unity, strength, and the imperial ambition of China. Through the lens of these discoveries, we can better understand how the Great Wall fits into the larger narrative of Chinese history, offering a glimpse into the past that is more complete and nuanced than ever before. For those who stand before the wall today, it is no longer just a stone structure stretching over the landscape. It is a living monument, with each new discovery adding another layer to its rich and complex history. The secrets of the wall, waiting to be uncovered, will continue to captivate historians and adventurers for years to come. As we leave behind the tangible discoveries and mysteries of the Great Wall of China, we now turn our attention to its enduring legacy. This monumental structure has shaped not only the historical landscape of China, but also the very fabric of its society and culture. The wall, more than just a physical defense, has become a symbol of unity, strength, and the resilience of the Chinese people. From ancient times to the present day, the wall has endured as a powerful emblem of China's imperial past and a reflection of its people's enduring spirit. In this next segment, we will explore the lasting influence of the Great Wall on Chinese culture, from the ways in which it has been remembered and revered by the people to how it has been utilized in shaping the identity of modern China. The wall, once built to protect against invasions from the north, has evolved into something greater, an integral symbol of national pride, a cultural icon, and a reminder of the complex history that has shaped China's modern identity. The Great Wall's role in imperial China. Symbolism and power. The legacy of the Great Wall is deeply embedded in the fabric of Chinese society, starting with the emperor's vision. During the time of Qin Shi Huang and later rulers, the wall wasn't merely an architectural feat, it was a physical manifestation of the power and reach of the emperor. In Qin Shi Huang's mind, the wall was a reflection of his rule, one that stretched over vast territories, and the physical embodiment of a unified empire, cementing his dynasty's strength and protecting its interests. As dynasties came and went, each added to the Great Wall, expanding its reach and fortifying its position. The importance of the wall went beyond its function. As a military defense, it became a symbol of the emperor's power. It was a mark of their ability to control the vast, often unpredictable, natural landscape and to assert their dominance over nature itself. The wall's enormity and scale were constant reminders of imperial rule, and it remained a key aspect of a ruler's legacy. Over time, the wall took on even more symbolic meaning. Under the Ming dynasty, the wall became synonymous with Chinese strength and perseverance. The Ming emperors utilized the wall as both a literal defense and a symbol of their reign. It not only served the military's needs, but also projected an image of a solid, immovable force, something that could withstand the tests of time, foreign invasions, and internal strife. The legacy of the Ming Wall, in particular, would endure long after the dynasty itself fell, cementing its place as one of the most iconic symbols of Chinese heritage. While the Great Wall was initially a practical defense system, it has evolved into an integral part of Chinese national identity. Throughout history, the wall has represented more than just an external barrier. It became a symbol of China's endurance and ability to withstand adversity. Even when the wall was not actively serving its defensive purpose, it remained a symbol of unity and strength. In the aftermath of the Ming dynasty, as China entered the Qing dynasty, the wall's role as a defensive structure began to diminish, but its symbolic importance remained. The Qing emperors didn't rely on the wall as much as their predecessors, yet the wall remained a part of China's collective memory. By then, the Great Wall had become synonymous with the idea of Chinese civilization itself, a unique, indomitable entity in the face of the world's shifting political landscapes. In modern China, especially post-1949, the Great Wall continues to be a central piece of national pride and a source of cultural heritage. It is often invoked in discussions about Chinese strength, resilience, and unity, serving as a reminder of the nation's long history and its capacity to overcome adversity. The wall, both literally and figuratively, forms a protective boundary, a line drawn in the sand that represents China's past, present, and future. In the 21st century, the Great Wall of China has become a symbol not just of history but also of China's global standing. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most recognized landmarks in the world, the wall attracts millions of tourists every year. Visitors come from all corners of the globe to witness its grandeur and to understand its significance in the context of Chinese history. Tourism has transformed the wall into an economic resource, generating income for local communities and serving as a vital part of China's cultural tourism industry. But beyond its economic impact, the wall has become a cultural touchstone, linking the Chinese people to their past while simultaneously offering a glimpse into China's future as it might. The Great Wall is celebrated in literature, art, and music, often appearing as a symbol of endurance and persistence. It is woven into the national consciousness, and its importance has only deepened over time. In schools across China, the wall is taught as a symbol of national unity, pride, and strength. Its construction is often used to instill values such as perseverance, hard work, and sacrifice in young minds. The wall's story is told not just in historical terms, but also in terms of its enduring presence in the modern, a living testament to the strength of China's people and the accomplishments of its past. Beyond its practical and symbolic roles, the Great Wall is surrounded by myths and legends that have been passed down through generations. Some of these tales speak of the wall's supernatural aspects, stories of ghostly soldiers who still guard its length, protecting the empire even in death. These myths reflect the wall's spiritual significance, as well as its role in the collective imagination of the Chinese people. For example, it is said that the spirits of the workers who died during the construction of the wall still haunt the watch, guarding the wall from invaders and ensuring its protection. In some local folklore, it is believed that the wall was built with the help of divine forces, and that its strength is tied to the sacrifices made by those who built it. This connection to the past, combined with the wall's enduring physical presence, gives it a nearly mythic status in Chinese culture. The Great Wall's role in shaping the national identity of China is profound. Throughout the country, it is a symbol of not just defense, but of Chinese sovereignty and determination. In times of international conflict or tension, the wall is often invoked as a symbol of China's historical resilience and strength. Its image has been used to assert China's dominance in the region and to remind the world of China's long-standing history as a powerful and self-sufficient empire. In the modern era, the Great Wall is often referenced in political discourse, reinforcing the idea that China is a unified force that can withstand external pressures. The image of the wall standing strong against invaders, impervious to the passage of time, has become a reflection of the nation's resolve to protect its interests and maintain its sovereignty. The Great Wall, while born of necessity and built through immense sacrifice, has evolved into a lasting symbol of China's enduring strength and resilience. It stands not only as a physical barrier but also as a representation of the cultural, political, and spiritual forces that have shaped China's history. From the emperors who dreamed of an eternal empire to the soldiers and workers who toiled to build it, the wall has been central to China's identity for over 2 millennia. Today, it remains a proud monument, a living connection to the past that continues to inspire both Chinese citizens and the world at large. As we close this segment, we reflect on how the Great Wall's legacy has transcended time. Its physical presence is a reminder of the labor, the vision, and the cost of empire, while its cultural and spiritual significance continues to influence Chinese society and the world's perception of China. The Great Wall of China stands as one of the world's most iconic and enduring symbols, a structure that has withstood the ravages of time and continues to capture the imagination of both the Chinese people and the world. It is not just a physical structure built of stone, earth, and wood. The wall is a living monument that connects China's past to its present, a constant reminder of the resilience, power, and ambition that shaped one of the world's oldest continuous civilizations. The wall's significance transcends its physical form, as it serves as a cultural bridge between the ancient world and the modern era. It is a symbol not only of China's military prowess and geopolitical ambition, but also of its enduring unity, strength, and sense of national identity. Through the centuries, the Great Wall has evolved from a defensive barrier to a revered national treasure, representing the perseverance of the Chinese people and their unbroken history. This enduring monument is also deeply tied to the evolving identity of China. It has been a symbol of the country's ability to overcome external threats, maintain internal unity, and assert its place in the world. The paradox of the Great Wall is both a barrier and a symbol of unity. The essence of China is long and storied history. Historical symbolism. The wall is a representation of unity and sovereignty. The construction of the Great Wall was initially a strategic response to the external threats posed by the nomadic tribes of the north, such as the Zhou. However, as the wall took shape and spanned the length of the empire, it began to evolve into something far more profound. The Great Wall became a symbol of the power and authority of China's rulers, especially during the reign of the Qin dynasty and later, the Ming dynasty. For the emperors, the wall was a reflection of their sovereignty over the land, a visible manifestation of their power to protect and defend the empire. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, used the wall as a representation of his authority and the unification of the warring states. By consolidating various sections of the wall into one continuous line, he sent a powerful message. The strength of the emperor's reign was unassailable, and his empire was fortified both physically and symbolically. As centuries passed, the wall remained a powerful image of Chinese sovereignty, particularly during times of foreign invasions. It was more than just a military installation. It was a cultural icon that represented the unity of the people under one ruler. The presence of the wall acted as a psychological barrier, reaffirming the idea of a strong, united China that could withstand external pressures. The Great Wall has always held a central place in the national identity of China. It symbolizes the resilience of the Chinese people in the face of adversity, their ability to defend their land and culture against external threats. The wall is not only a symbol of military strength, but also a symbol of endurance, fortitude. These qualities have been integral to the identity of China throughout its long history. Throughout China's dynastic periods, the wall represented a national identity forged in the crucible of struggle and survival. During the Mongol invasions and the establishment of the Yuan dynasty, the wall served as a reminder of the need for unity and the determination to protect Chinese culture. Similarly, in modern times, the wall has been used as a symbol of China's strength and its ability to rise above external challenges. During times of political upheaval, especially in the 20th century, the wall emerged as a symbol of national pride and unity for the Chinese people. The wall's association with Chinese history was amplified during the Cultural Revolution, when it became a symbol of China's glorious past and its commitment to Even today, the Great Wall is a key symbol used in political rhetoric to project China's national strength and resilience on the world stage. In more recent history, particularly with the rise of modern China as a global superpower, the Great Wall has been reinvigorated as a symbol of nationalism and pride. During the 20th century, as China sought to modernize and reclaim its place in the world, the wall became a focal point of national identity. It was a reminder that, despite centuries of foreign domination, China had a rich and enduring history that continued to inspire pride in its people. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the wall's significance grew as China's economy and global influence expanded. As the Chinese people gained confidence in their country's strength, the wall was embraced as a symbol of their ability to overcome challenges and assert their influence on the world stage. The wall's representation of strength and unity resonated deeply during China's economic boom, when the country sought to position itself as a global leader. The wall's role in Chinese culture has remained constant throughout its dynastic periods, whether during the Qin, Han, Temps, or Ming dynasties. The wall has symbolized both the internal unity of the Chinese empire and its resolve to protect itself from external threats. The Great Wall became a cultural fixture, not only as a physical structure but as a reflection of the unbroken lineage of Chinese civilization. During the Temps dynasty, a period of cultural and political flourishing, the wall was a symbol of China's power and stability. While the Temps dynasty itself did not build or maintain the wall extensively, it served as an enduring reminder of the empire's ability to defend itself. In later dynasties, such as the Ming dynasty, the wall's role as a defensive structure was revitalized, and its symbolic power as a unifying force in Chinese identity became stronger than ever. During the Ming era, the wall's fortifications were expanded and strengthened, making it one of the most formidable structures in the world. The symbolism of the Great Wall has extended far beyond its historical context, carrying deep meaning for contemporary China. It has become a global symbol of China's rich cultural heritage and a reflection of its historical perseverance. Modern Chinese leaders have often invoked the wall as a symbol of national unity and strength, using it to reinforce national pride and pride in the country's long and illustrious history. In global terms, the Great Wall serves as a reminder of the depth and endurance of China's civilization. It is frequently featured in international media and cultural representations, with its imagery evoking China's ancient glory and its modern aspirations. As a result, the Great Wall continues to serve not only as a national symbol but also as a global emblem of China's heritage, strength, and resilience. Throughout the centuries, The Great Wall of China has been immortalized in a variety of art forms, most notably in traditional Chinese landscape painting. The wall's majestic, serpentine shape, winding across rugged terrain, is often presented as both a literal structure and a metaphor for the enduring strength of the Chinese civilization. Chinese landscape art, particularly from the Ming and Qing dynasties, frequently depicted the Great Wall, often portraying it as a long, winding serpent stretching across mist-shrouded mountains. The wall, sometimes viewed from a distance, appears as an almost ethereal entity, standing tall against the horizon, dwarfing the surrounding environment. In these paintings, the wall is not just a physical barrier but an embodiment of perseverance, continuity. The sweeping mountain ranges, often painted in soft, misty tones, emphasize the scale of the wall's construction and the vastness of the empire that it protected. The wall's appearance in traditional Chinese art is also often symbolic, standing as a metaphor for the strength of the Chinese people in the face of external threats. The wall, in these depictions, represents unity both in terms of the physical structure itself and in its role as a symbol of China as unbreakable spirit. Artists use its towering presence to evoke feelings of awe and reverence, reminding the viewer that the wall, like China itself, was built to withstand the test of time, standing as a bulwark against the forces that sought to destabilize it. In one famous painting style, the Great Wall is seen snaking through vast, mountainous landscapes, cutting through valleys and stretching over towering peaks. These paintings often utilize brushwork techniques that give a sense of both grandeur and imperfection. The wall is painted in various hues, with bright reds, earthy browns, and subtle shades of gray, suggesting its historical and cultural significance. Through these artistic representations, the wall becomes not just a structure, but a profound symbol of endurance and national pride. Chinese poets, too, have long drawn on the Great Wall as a central theme in their works, using it to reflect on China's struggles, separation, and resilience. Over the centuries, the wall has served as both a literal and metaphorical barrier, representing the challenges faced by the people of China and their efforts to protect their land, culture, and identity from foreign invaders. Many ancient poems use the wall as a symbol of both protection and separation. The physical wall that keeps invaders at bay also represents the emotional wall, separates loved ones, and creates a barrier to unity. In the works of poets from the Tang and Song dynasties, the Great Wall is often mentioned in the context of military defense and personal sorrow. The soldiers stationed on the wall would often write poems expressing their longing for home, their frustrations with the long-distance separation from their families, and their awareness of the wall's importance in protecting their homeland. One famous example is a poem by Wang Changling from the Tang dynasty, which describes the wall as not just a physical structure, but a lonely outpost where soldiers stationed there face their own existential struggles. The poem paints the wall as a symbol of isolation, as it keeps enemies out but also pushes people into silence and solitude, capturing the duality of its role. Atop the Great Wall I stand, surveying the land, the distant sand. Far away, my thoughts do roam, to distant lands, and my distant home. This excerpt reflects the emotional weight carried by the image of the Great Wall, emphasizing both the physical and emotional burdens borne by those who guarded it. Other works focused on the wall's role in defense, and its construction as a national effort to unite the empire in the face of threats. One of the most famous works from the Song dynasty, a poem written by a poet who visited the wall, likens the structure to a dragon that snakes through the mountains, its scales firm and unyielding. This image is rich in symbolism, tying the wall to the mythical Chinese dragon, an emblem of power, strength, and unity. The wall, in poetry, often becomes a metaphor for the endless struggles that the people of China have faced throughout their history. Poems from the Ming dynasty reflect the tumultuous period of invasions and the constant need to defend the empire. Poets used the wall as a tool to remind the people that, even though they may face external hardships, the spirit of the wall, like their own perseverance, will never falter. This use of the wall in poetry became a reflection of the resilience of the Chinese identity, something that would remain even in the face of the world-changing events of the 20th century. As China moved into the 20th and 21st centuries, the Great Wall's role as a symbol continued to evolve, particularly in modern art and popular culture. No longer just a physical boundary, the Great Wall became a symbol of China's strength, unity, and pride, and its depictions in contemporary art reflect these ideas. Today, Artists in China and around the world explore the wall's symbolism in new and innovative ways, incorporating it into digital art, photography, and large-scale installations. Contemporary Chinese artists often approach the wall from multiple angles, using it as a tool to comment on issues like national identity, historical memory, and the relationship between tradition and modernity. The wall is not just a structure, but a metaphor for the country's transformation over the last few decades, as China has become a global economic and political powerhouse. In installations, the Great Wall is often depicted as a symbol of both physical and psychological boundaries, showing not only the wall's role in protecting China, but also the tension it creates, both for those within and outside its reach. Artists use the wall to explore themes of division, separation, and the enduring need to preserve cultural identity in a rapidly changing world. The Great Wall's portrayal in contemporary cinema has also become an important part of modern Chinese culture. A recent example of this is the 2016 film The Great Wall, directed by Zhang Yimou. In the film, the wall is presented as a fantastical structure, with soldiers defending it from monstrous creatures, a departure from its historical representation. While the movie is a work of fiction, it highlights how the Great Wall has become a symbol of national pride and the enduring spirit of the Chinese people. The film's global appeal demonstrates how the Great Wall, despite its historical origins, has transcended its role as a defensive barrier and become a symbol of China's resilience and its unique cultural heritage. This interpretation of the wall, while fantastical, underscores the way that modern China views its past as something that can be celebrated, reinterpreted, and shared with the world. The Great Wall, more than a marvel of engineering, stands as one of the most iconic symbols of China, embodying the spirit of its people, its historical resilience, and the nation's enduring strength. Its legacy, however, is far more profound than just a physical structure, and its cultural and political significance stretches through millennia. Today, the wall continues to capture the imagination of both the Chinese people and the world at large, serving as a metaphor for the protection of sovereignty, the unity of the nation, and the idea of eternal resilience. The wall is a cultural and national symbol, the Great Wall in Chinese national identity in the modern era. The Great Wall has transcended its original defensive function, becoming a powerful symbol of unity and national identity. From the bustling streets of Beijing to the quieter corners of rural China, the wall serves as a constant reminder of the country's long history of perseverance, unity, and survival. Its presence is woven into the collective consciousness of the Chinese people. It is not merely a historical artifact or tourist attraction, but an emblem of China's ability to overcome adversity, whether in the form of foreign invasions or domestic challenges. The symbolism of the Great Wall is inseparable from the concept of China as a unified entity, one that has remained steadfast through centuries of tumult. It is a visual and cultural representation of the very idea of China, a vast, diverse country with an ancient history that binds its people together. Despite the changes that the country has undergone from imperial dynasties to the rise of modern-day China, the Great Wall has remained a steady marker of continuity, resilience, and national pride. In contemporary China, the wall is often invoked in political rhetoric to emphasize the unity of the nation. Leaders such as Xi Jinping have used the Great Wall as symbolism to reinforce themes of national strength and sovereignty. In his speeches, the wall is not just a relic of the past, but a living, breathing symbol of China's enduring place on the global stage. The Great Wall, though physically standing as a barrier, is paradoxically also a symbol of connection. It links the past with the present, the emperors with the people, and China with the rest of the world. It has become a crucial element in defining the country's identity, both for its citizens and for the international community. The Great Wall has captured the imagination of countless generations of Chinese artists, poets, and philosophers, inspiring numerous works that elevate its significance beyond its physical form. In traditional Chinese landscape paintings, the Great Wall often appears as a winding serpent through mist-covered mountains, a symbol of the enduring strength of the nation. These paintings often depict the wall in a larger-than-life context, evoking awe and reverence for the structure's sheer scale and its symbolic meaning. In ancient poetry, the wall is frequently referenced as a representation of separation and the famous poem, The Ballad of the Great Wall by the Tang Dynasty poet Wang Wei reflects the hardship and toil of those who constructed the wall, as well as its role in providing protection against external threats. Poetry about the Great Wall often carries themes of sacrifice, struggle, and the longing for peace. offering an emotional reflection on the labor and human costs involved in building and maintaining such a monumental structure. In modern times, the wall continues to inspire contemporary art and literature. Artists reinterpret its symbolism in new and exciting ways, exploring how the wall's history continues to shape modern Chinese identity. Films, such as The Great Wall, portray the wall not just as an ancient defensive structure, but as a dynamic, living entity that continues to protect China from both literal and metaphorical threats. These portrayals reflect China's evolving relationship with the wall, as both a national treasure and an enduring symbol of power and legacy. In today's world, the Great Wall has become a major tourist attraction, drawing millions of visitors from around the globe each year. Tourists flock to its many sections to marvel at its scale and beauty, and in doing so, they also engage with China's rich history. The wall's modern role as a tourist destination has become integral to China's soft power strategy, helping to foster a sense of national pride while contributing significantly to the economy. Yet, the significance of the wall transcends tourism. As a symbol of China's global position, it is a tool in diplomatic rhetoric and cultural exchange. In international relations, the Great Wall often appears as a metaphor for China's resilience and independence. Just as the wall has withstood the test of time, so too does China position itself as a resilient power, with an unwavering commitment to maintaining its sovereignty and identity in the global arena. The wall is also central to China's vision of its place in the world. It embodies the idea of Chinese exceptionalism, the belief that China, as one of the world's oldest, continuous civilizations, occupies a unique and irreplaceable role on the global stage. The wall, by standing for millennia, reinforces the idea of China's cultural and political longevity. It is a reminder that China has always existed as a coherent, unified entity, despite the many challenges and upheavals it has faced over time. The Great Wall's symbolism in modern Chinese politics is inseparable from its role in promoting national pride and reinforcing the country's sovereignty. In a time when global geopolitics are increasingly complex and the world is more interconnected than ever, China's leadership often uses the wall to remind both its citizens and the world of China's enduring strength. Leaders, particularly since the rise of Xi Jinping, have invoked the wall in speeches to emphasize China's historical achievements and its rightful place in the world. By invoking the wall, Chinese leaders connect the present to the past, highlighting the resilience of the nation. The wall becomes a metaphor not only for physical protection, but also for China's ideological stance, its desire to maintain its integrity, and its refusal to be dominated by foreign powers. The wall's symbolism has also played a role in China's growing nationalism, as the country seeks to assert its political and cultural identity on the global stage. The wall is a reminder of China's self-reliance and ability to withstand outside pressure. It represents the spirit of the Chinese people, who have endured numerous challenges, from foreign invasions to internal conflicts, yet have always emerged stronger. On the world stage, the Great Wall has also become a key component of China's soft power strategy. As the wall continues to attract tourists, scholars, and media from all over the world, it serves as a symbol of China's cultural richness and historical significance. By presenting the wall as an emblem of their ancient civilization, Chinese leaders reinforce the message that China is not only an economic powerhouse, but also a nation with deep cultural roots and a long history of intellectual and artistic achievement. The Great Wall's role in international diplomacy is also worth noting. It serves as a symbol of China's resilience, reminding the world that China is a nation that has stood the test of time. In political and diplomatic discussions, references to the wall often invoke China's enduring strength and its role as a central figure in the global community. Additionally, as global tourism to China continues to grow, the Great Wall serves as a bridge between China and the world, offering visitors a unique opportunity to experience China's history firsthand. The wall, in this sense, functions as a diplomatic tool, allowing the government to promote cultural exchange and understanding while simultaneously asserting the country's prominence and importance on the world stage. The Great Wall has long been associated with the concept of Chinese exceptionalism. With its ancient civilization and unique political system, is a country apart from others. This notion posits that China's long history, cultural achievements, and political stability place it in a unique position in the world. The Great Wall, as a symbol of China's enduring strength, reinforces this ideology, positioning the country as an exceptional civilization that has withstood the test of time. In modern political discourse, The Great Wall serves as a reminder of China's exceptional status in the world. It reflects the idea that China is not simply one nation among many, but a civilization with a unique history and a place of unparalleled importance in the global landscape. The wall, as both a physical structure and a cultural symbol, encapsulates the idea of China as a civilization that has endured for millennia and is poised to continue thriving in the modern era. As China continues to assert its position as a global power, the Great Wall remains a powerful symbol of its uniqueness, its enduring cultural heritage, and its strength in the face of adversity. In this sense, the wall is not just a physical structure, but a cornerstone of China's identity, both at home and abroad. The Great Wall of China is more than just a historical monument. It stands as a timeless symbol of perseverance, determination, and collective effort, values deeply ingrained in Chinese culture. Its very existence is a testament to the strength and resilience of the Chinese people, from the peasants who labored to build it, to the soldiers who defended its vast expanse, to the generations that continue to see it as a symbol of endurance. In Chinese folklore, the Great Wall often appears as a metaphor for overcoming adversity. Stories of the wall being built against seemingly insurmountable odds have been passed down through generations. These tales underscore the idea that the wall, like China itself, was forged through hard work, perseverance, and the unity of a people facing constant challenges. It is a story of collective effort in the face of adversity, and this theme resonates in everyday life for the Chinese people. In Chinese proverbs, the Great Wall frequently appears as a symbol of personal and national strength. Expressions such as "the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," or "even a great wall is built by tiny bricks," reflect the same ethos. Embodied by the Great Wall, small efforts compounded over time can achieve monumental results. In modern China, these proverbs continue to inspire individuals facing obstacles, encouraging them to keep pushing forward, much like the laborers who toiled under harsh conditions to build the Great Wall. Imagery is often invoked in Chinese culture as a reminder of the enduring human spirit. It encourages perseverance in the face of challenges, whether in personal ambition, business, or social efforts. In a society that values the collective good and hard work, the wall serves as a shining example of what can be accomplished when people come together for a common purpose. Whether it's through overcoming personal setbacks or national challenges, the spirit of the wall is woven into the fabric of modern Chinese consciousness. The Great Wall of China holds a prominent place in the educational system. From an early age, Chinese children are taught about its historical significance, its construction, and the effort required to build such a grand structure. School curriculums often place great emphasis on the wall as a representation of China's strength and unity, weaving it into lessons about Chinese history, culture, and the role of the emperor in shaping the nation. The wall is not merely a structure studied in textbooks, but a symbol that stands as a testament to the country's enduring spirit. Children in China learn about the wall not only as a physical defense, but as a symbol of national pride. It serves as a lesson in resilience, how, despite the odds, China has continued to grow and prosper, overcoming countless challenges along the way. Through the wall's history, students gain a sense of belonging, a feeling of being part of a long, unbroken line of people who contributed to the building of their nation. The wall's symbolism has taken on a larger role in national consciousness. It is not just about history, it represents the continuity of China itself. It is often used to remind citizens of their shared heritage and the long-standing strength of their civilization. During moments of national struggle or pride, the wall is invoked to unite the people, reminding them of the times when China stood united, protected by the wall built by their ancestors. It's a cultural and national touchstone, representing an enduring identity that has weathered centuries. For the Chinese diaspora, the Great Wall holds an equally important place. For Chinese communities abroad, the wall represents more than a physical structure. It is a symbol of home, heritage, and cultural pride. In places like San Francisco, Toronto, or Sydney, where large Chinese populations live, the Great Wall's legacy continues to resonate, whether seen in art, cultural festivals, or even discussions about China's economic rise. The wall serves as a powerful symbol for those far from their ancestral land. It represents the ties that bind the Chinese people to their homeland, no matter how far they are from it. The Great Wall's continued significance is also evident in the tourism industry. As one of the most visited monuments in the world, the wall plays a central role in China's cultural and economic landscape. It is not only a tourist destination but also a crucial component of the national economy. Each year, millions of tourists, both domestic and international, make their way to the wall's many sections, marveling at its history, its scale, and its architectural prowess. A visit to the Great Wall offers more than just a sightseeing opportunity. It is a sensory experience that immerses visitors in the past while also evoking the pride of the present. Imagine walking along the ancient stone paths of the wall. The sound of your footsteps reverberates through the air, echoing off the centuries-old stones. The wind, cold or warm, depending on the season, brushes against your skin as you look out over the vast expanse of land. From the heights of the watchtowers you can see for miles on, incredible, uninterrupted view of the landscape that stretches out as far as the eye can see. At certain points along the wall, you can feel a sense of history and power coursing through the air. The sections of the wall that have been preserved feel like living monuments to the past, standing tall and proud, just as they did for the soldiers who once stood guard, watching for invaders. There's a quiet, reverent feeling that settles over visitors as they take in the views, knowing that they are walking along one of the most iconic and important structures in the world. The Great Wall's role in tourism goes beyond the economic boost it provides. It also acts as a unifier for the Chinese people. When Chinese citizens visit the wall, they are reminded of their collective history and the monumental effort it took to build this national treasure. It reinforces national pride, and for many, standing at the foot of the wall is a moment of deep personal connection to their heritage. Whether they are first-time visitors or returning to see the wall again, there is a deep-seated sense of gratitude, an awe that fills them, knowing that the wall is as much a part of their identity as it is of China's history. The Great Wall of China is a structure that holds profound meaning, not just for the nation of China, but for the world. It stands as a monument to perseverance, strength, and the ability to unite under one vision. Through art, education, tourism, and national pride, the Great Wall continues to shape the identity of the Chinese people and to inspire others with its story of enduring legacy. It is a living monument that reflects the resilience of a nation, its cultural values, and its history. The wall connects the past with the present, reminding everyone who sees it of the human effort, ambition, and sacrifice required to create something that would stand the test of time. Whether as a symbol of national unity, a cultural icon, or a global wonder, the Great Wall remains an enduring representation of China's strength and its deep historical roots. The Great Wall of China is one of the most recognizable and revered structures in the world. Not only does it stand as a symbol of China's strength, perseverance, and unity, but it has also carved its place in global consciousness as a marvel of human ingenuity. The wall stretches beyond the borders of China, acting as a beacon of cultural pride for the Chinese people, and a symbol of resilience for the entire world. For centuries, the wall has captured the imagination of people across the globe. Its massive scale, breathtaking beauty, and historical significance have made it a symbol not only of China's national pride but also of human ambition and determination. In the global context, the wall is often seen as a representation of human endeavor, an iconic structure that spans cultures and continents. The wall's inclusion in the UNESCO World Heritage List further solidifies its status as a global treasure. UNESCO recognizes the wall as a cultural and historical landmark of unparalleled importance, a recognition that brings international attention to its preservation. Over the years, governments, historians, and archaeologists from around the world have worked together to ensure that this incredible monument is maintained for future generations. The wall stands not just as a symbol of China's past, but as a gift to the world, embodying universal themes of human struggle, defense, and the ability to overcome obstacles. But the wall's influence goes beyond the efforts to preserve it. Its story has inspired an entire generation of people across different cultures to understand the significance of preserving historical monuments. The commitment to keeping the wall intact, especially through restoration projects and international partnerships, highlights the shared responsibility of global society in safeguarding cultural heritage. The Great Wall of China transcends the boundaries of China's borders, becoming a symbol of strength, resistance, and the desire to protect what is dear. It is often seen as one of the greatest feats of human engineering but beyond its physical presence, it carries profound meanings that resonate with people everywhere. The wall's ability to embody endurance can be compared to other world landmarks that also symbolize human perseverance in the face of adversity. For example, the pyramids of Egypt stand as monumental achievements of ancient engineering, much like the Great Wall does for China. Both structures represent the desire to protect and defend, whether from the natural forces of the desert or the human forces of invasion. Similarly, the Berlin Wall, though a more modern structure, embodies themes of division and the human longing for freedom, much as the Great Wall once symbolized division, but in a different context. While the Berlin Wall physically separated East and West Berlin during the Cold War, the Great Wall of China was built to separate China from the northern invaders, primarily the Xiongnu and other nomadic tribes. Yet, both walls came to represent more than just physical boundaries. They became metaphors for human struggles, for protection against the unknown, and for the fight for sovereignty. The Great Wall, with its winding path through mountains, deserts, and plains, speaks to human ambition and the desire to protect what is most sacred. In this sense, it can be placed alongside other monumental human creations that serve as emblems of struggle, achievement, and resistance against external forces, whether physical or ideological. The Great Wall's influence extends far beyond the realm of politics and history into the world of art, literature, and popular culture. Its timeless and awe-inspiring presence has inspired countless artists, filmmakers, and writers from all over the world, from paintings to literature, and even blockbuster movies. The Great Wall continues to inspire a sense of wonder and admiration. In traditional Chinese art, the wall is often depicted as a symbol of strength, endurance, and the protection of the people. Landscape paintings featuring the wall wind through dramatic mountain passes, emphasizing its impressive scale and its connection to the land. These works of art not only capture the physical beauty of the wall, but also evoke a sense of reverence and awe for the empire it represents. Western artists and filmmakers have also drawn inspiration from the Great Wall, often using it as a backdrop for stories of resistance, survival, and historical drama. One example is the 2016 Hollywood film The Great Wall, which blends mythology with historical fiction to tell the story of how the wall was used to protect China from mythical creatures. While the film takes liberties with the history, it showcases the wall's place in modern popular culture and how it continues to inspire a global audience. Authors, too, have often referenced the Great Wall in literature, using it as a symbol of barriers both physical and metaphorical. It appears in works of fiction, where the wall becomes a metaphor for isolation, endurance. In works such as The Ghosts of China by Ian Johnson and other historical novels, the Great Wall is portrayed not just as a barrier, but as a reminder of past divisions and the ongoing quest for unity. Moreover, contemporary art forms such as digital installations, photography, and even street art have also drawn on the image of the wall. Artists use the wall as a canvas to explore themes of globalization, migration, and the shifting concept of borders in the modern world. In these forms, the wall remains a living symbol that resonates with the challenges of our times. The Great Wall's significance in modern international relations goes beyond its historical importance. It has become an essential part of China's soft power strategy, which emphasizes cultural influence as an alternative to military or economic might. By showcasing the wall as a symbol of Chinese resilience, unity, and strength, China has strategically positioned it as a tool in promoting its global image. Through tourism, educational exchanges, and cultural diplomacy, China has used the Great Wall to strengthen its position in the global arena. The wall is a major tourist destination, attracting millions of visitors each year, many of whom are eager to experience this iconic structure firsthand. As tourists walk along its ancient stones, they not only witness an architectural wonder, but also experience China's cultural pride and rich history. This cultural tourism has contributed significantly to China's economic and cultural influence. In addition, the Great Wall's image has been used in various global events, exhibitions, and international films, further embedding it as a cultural landmark of world significance. Whether it is featured in a documentary or a diplomatic summit, the wall continues to represent China's legacy of endurance and its continued rise as a global power. It is a bridge to understanding China's ancient past and its contemporary role in world affairs. The Great Wall of China is more than just a physical structure. It is a symbol of China's enduring strength, unity, and resilience. It has left an indelible mark on both the history of China and the world. Over the centuries, it has been woven into the very fabric of Chinese identity, shaping cultural values, national pride, and artistic expression. While the wall's physical presence serves as a reminder of the past, its cultural and symbolic significance continues to resonate in modern times. It has become a powerful tool in China's soft power strategy, helping to promote the nation's image and heritage on the global stage. The Great Wall, through its timeless grandeur and unwavering strength, continues to inspire awe and admiration across the world, serving as both a testament to human ambition and a symbol of resilience against adversity. Whether through its role in history, its impact on art and literature, or its use as a cultural symbol, today, the Great Wall of China remains a living continues to shape the consciousness of both the Chinese people and the world. The Great Wall of China, an ancient marvel stretching across the land, stands as much more than a feat of military engineering and construction. It is an enduring symbol of China's strength, unity, and resilience, an iconic testament to the ambition of its rulers and the perseverance of its people. Throughout history, it has been both a physical and psychological barrier, representing the determination of a nation to protect its people, its sovereignty, and its cultural integrity. As the wall weaves through the landscapes of mountains, deserts, and plains, it tells a story of China's past, its present, and the aspirations for its future. At its core, the wall is a living testament to the human cost of ambition and empire. Its construction, which spanned several dynasties and endured for centuries, came at an immense price. It was built on the backs of laborers, soldiers, prisoners, peasants who faced harsh conditions, working tirelessly under the pressure of imperial commands. The wall stands not just as a monumental achievement but as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who constructed it, many of whom never saw the completion of their labor. The history of the Great Wall is intertwined with the fates of these forgotten workers, whose lives, hardships, and contributions are encapsulated in the stones and earth that form the wall's structure. Yet, beyond its physical presence, the Great Wall has grown into a cultural symbol of China's indomitable spirit. Its purpose was not only to protect the empire from external invaders, but also to unify and define the Chinese identity. For centuries, it has represented a collective effort, a symbol of strength that resonated deeply with the people. This collective spirit extended beyond the construction of the wall and became woven into the fabric of China's history, politics, and culture. The wall's endurance mirrors the resilience of the Chinese people, who, like the wall itself, have withstood the challenges of time, turmoil, and transformation. The Great Wall's significance has only grown over time. During the Ming Dynasty, it was revamped, expanded, and reinforced, and it became a monument not only of defense but of national pride and identity. Its towering presence over the landscape served as both a practical defense against invasions and a symbol of imperial might. Yet, as China's dynastic system gave way to new periods of cultural and political upheaval, the wall's role shifted from a mere military fortification to a cultural icon. In the modern era, the Great Wall continues to be a potent symbol of national pride and resilience, an emblem that is as much a part of China's national consciousness as the flag itself. The wall is not simply a relic of the past. It is a living monument, a cultural touchstone that still informs the Chinese identity today. In art, literature, and film, the wall continues to inspire expressions of China's strength, its perseverance, and its enduring legacy. Its portrayal in ancient Chinese paintings, romanticized and idealized in works of poetry, and reinterpreted in modern art and cinema, all speak to the wall's profound and lasting impact on China's cultural consciousness. Moreover, the wall's significance extends beyond China's borders. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most recognizable landmarks in the world, the Great Wall draws millions of visitors each year, contributing to the global recognition of China's history and heritage. Tourists from all over the world trek along its ancient stones, marveling at the vastness of the wall and the ingenuity that went into its construction. The wall's role as a global icon is reflected in its prominence in international media and its symbolism of perseverance, resistance, and human endeavor. Yet, despite the wall's worldwide fame, much about its construction remains shrouded in mystery. Archaeologists continue to unearth new sections, hidden artifacts, and forgotten relics, piecing together the history of a project that spanned centuries. The wall's lost sections, buried beneath the sands of time, continued to be discovered, revealing stories of ancient builders, soldiers, and with advancements in technology, the Great Wall continues to yield its secrets, promising even greater revelations about the lives of those who constructed it and the empire that it was meant to protect. In exploring the Great Wall's role in Chinese society and culture, we must also acknowledge its complexity as a symbol of both defense and division. The wall was, in many ways, both a protector and a separator, keeping out invaders while simultaneously dividing China from the outside world. It is this duality, the tension between protection and isolation, that has kept the wall so relevant throughout history. It represents not just China's ability to defend itself, but also its complex relationship with the outside world, a theme that resonates with China's ongoing place in global affairs. The Great Wall also carries with it a deep spiritual significance. For those who worked on its construction, the wall was not just a physical barrier, but a spiritual one. The rituals and prayers that accompanied its building were as much about appeasing the gods and spirits as they were about ensuring the wall has physical strength. From ancient ceremonies to the placement of stones, the wall was imbued with spiritual meaning, reinforcing the belief that it was a divinely ordained structure meant to protect the empire and ensure its survival. This sense of spiritual protection is still felt today, as the wall remains a symbol of China's enduring connection to its past and its future. The Great Wall's legacy is, therefore, not just one of stone and mortars, but of the people who built it, the emperors who envisioned it, and the nation that continues to draw strength from it. It is a symbol of resilience, not just against external threats, but against the passage of time, the inevitable forces of history, and the changing tides of empire. The wall, both a physical barrier and a cultural symbol, represents the perseverance of the Chinese people, a people whose enduring spirit has outlasted dynasties, invasions, and centuries of change. As we reflect on the Great Wall, we are reminded that it is not just a relic of the past, but a living part of the present. It is a symbol of the strength, unity, and ambition that defines China, and a reminder that the challenges of the past can inform the aspirations of the future. The Great Wall of China, stretching across the landscape, will continue to stand as a testament to the enduring strength of human ambition, the resilience of a nation, and the timeless power of history to shape the present and future.